A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
The Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Say, Ethelbert, did you hear about the latest crime wave?
What crime wave, Casey?
It's a series of crimes that occur regularly every week.
What's so unusual about that?
Well, for one thing, every one of these crimes is solved in exactly half an hour.
Gosh, do they have any idea who's responsible?
Why, sure. It's Crime Photographer, brought to you each week by Anchor Hawking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hawking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, Crime Photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, Acquitted. Late afternoon, a sparsely filled courtroom. Opposing attorneys, witnesses, spectators, and the accused stiffen to attention as the jurors file into their box. Then the foreman is summoned to state the verdict.
We, the jury, find the defendant not guilty.
I told you it'd be that way, Annie.
Well, you didn't have to tell me, Casey. I knew.
Quiet, please. Quiet.
Now, Judge Lucas will deliver a few remarks. He always does.
I hope they're very few, because I want to get to a telephone.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this court thanks you for bringing in a verdict that is altogether in accord with the evidence that was presented to you. And similar thanks is accorded to the defendant's attorney, Mr. Freeman, for his presentation of his case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Nuts. Freeman's a louse.
You can say that again.
But for the police officer who has figured so prominently in this case, the court has nothing but censure.
Now it comes, Annie.
Mm-hmm.
Detective Ryan, evidence has shown that you deliberately and with malicious intent committed an unprovoked assault upon the defendant for the purpose of obtaining the confession that he here repudiated.
That isn't so, Your Honor. That dirty crook Waldo told you nothing but lies.
Quiet!
How can a man be quiet when he's trained for doing his duty? That guy tried to escape, and I put him under arrest. He fought me and I had to subdue him.
Bailiff, preserve order in this court.
Mike Ryan was sure to blow his top under that one, Annie.
And
Okay,
I
I'll
don't
be quiet.
blame him.
And I beg the court's pardon.
Detective Ryan, it is in the power of the court to impose a penalty upon you for your disgraceful outburst. But in view of your apology, I refrain. I shall, however, recommend to your superiors that you be called to answer for your conduct in all phases of this case. Prisoner at the bar, Leonard Waldo, you stand acquitted, and are hereby discharged from custody.
Thanks, Judge.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you are discharged. Court adjourned.
Oh, now I get to a phone and give the city desk the story.
Yeah, I'll stay here, Annie, get some pictures.
Okay, I'll meet you in the car.
Okay, honey. Mr. Allison.
Yes?
Thanks. Just wanted you to turn around so I can get a shot of it. I got it all right, thank you.
What did you want a picture of me?
You were the complaining witness in this case. Your property was stolen.
And since this man's been acquitted, I never expect to see that property again.
You failed to identify him as a thief.
I couldn't be positive he was the man I surprised in front of my safe that night. And one must be positive.
But you originally identified him as the guy...
I said then he strongly resembled the burglar, as I said it again today. I never said more than that.
I see.
Excuse me, I want to say a word to the Assistant District Attorney, Mr.
Yes, sure. Hey, Freeman,
Hello, Casey.
you and your lucky client look happy for the camera?
Okay. Watch the birdie, Lenny.
Sure.
Thanks, I got you.
But, what did you mean by lucky client? This lad was innocent as a newborn babe.
Yeah.
You just heard the jury and the judge agree on that, Casey.
Sure, Lenny, I heard. I still say you're quite a lawyer, Freeman.
Say, look ahead.
Newspaper guys are naturally cynical, Lenny, and Casey's right about you having a good lawyer.
Yeah, you're a good one, all right.
Huh? Oh, Officer Ryan.
Yeah.
Hello, Mike.
Hello, Casey.
I hope there's no hard feelings, Mike. You know there's nothing personal. What I did to you on the witness stand, that was all part of the game.
Sure. You lawyers can make an honest witness look like a fool and a liar.
Take it easy, Mike.
I am taking it easy, Casey. I'm not going to blow my top again. I'm just telling this slick mouthpiece I think he's a crooked louse.
Look here,
Shut up,
Ryan.
Freeman. As to you, Waldo, you know I didn't beat you up to get a confession out of you. You started to play rough, and I took care of you. I should let you have it right now, but, well, I won't. That's all. So long, Casey.
So long, Mike.
You going to let him get away with that, Freeman?
No. Hey, Ryan.
Hey, you two guys aren't
Keep
gonna...
out of this, Casey. Hey, Flatfoot.
What?
We're going to tell you a few things, copper.
Oh, yeah?
Freeman, you're supposed to have some brains. Big Mike Ryan is dynamite when he gets started.
Ryan, my client and I were going to let you off easy. But since you've decided to be nasty, we'll see that you face not only departmental charges for manhandling a prisoner, we'll slap a civil suit on you for damages resulting from assault and battery.
You're not going to do that, Freeman.
That's what you think, you big ape.
No dirty thief like you caused me that.
Mike.
Let go of me, Casey.
Help me hold this copy.
We've got him.
Hold it, Mike. Hold it, will you? These birds were only trying to make you lose your head. Don't play into their hands.
Okay, take your hands off me. I promise not to sock them.
What's going on here?
Huh? Oh, hello, Sergeant. Nothing's going on. Nothing at all.
Casey's made a slight understatement, Sergeant. Officer Ryan just tried to attack my client and me.
It was a deliberately provoked attack, Sergeant.
I was leaving the room holding my temper, Sergeant, when these two came up.
Okay, Mike. I'll make no report on it to add to your other troubles.
Other troubles?
Yeah. Commissioner sent me here for you. You got to report at his office right away.
Oh, well, that means...
Judge Lucas just talked to him over the phone. You can guess what it means. I'm sorry, Ryan.
Yeah. Oh, okay, Sarge. Let's go.
So long, ex-copper. You're going to miss that badge of yours.
Listen, Waldo and Freeman. I'm going to get you two for this. Just remember that.
Gentlemen, you're witnesses to that man's threat.
Yeah, Freeman. And Mike Ryan's not the only one who'd like to take a poke at you two.
Hey, Walter, serve 2 more bottles of beer to these gentlemen. And bring up some more lemons.
This is the lemon seasoning.
Now, to get back to what you and Casey was relating to me, Miss Williams, what did the commissioner do to Big Mike Ryan?
Suspended him.
Yeah?
Yeah, and it's lousy. Mike's a swell cop. He's got a swell record, too.
You don't think he beat up that Lenny Waldo in order to get a confession, huh, Casey?
Definitely not. In my book, the whole thing happened just like Mike said it did.
I forgot the beginning of this case. It happened over 6 months ago, didn't it?
Mm-hmm. Shortly after Christmas, Ethelbert. This Robert Alliston, who's a wholesale diamond merchant, went to his office after hours with a friend and walked in on a safecracker. Well, the burglar blackjacked him and made a getaway with around $100,000 worth of precious stones.
Alliston's friend got socked before he had a good look at the guy, but Alliston himself described him to the cops, and the description fit Lenny Waldo, who, of course, has a long record for safecracking. Mike Ryan was one of the dicks assigned to look for Waldo. He found him. Waldo tried to make a break, and there was quite a fight. Waldo came off second best. When Waldo yelled uncle, he spotted a confession along with it.
Oh, which he later affirmed in writing.
Yeah, but before the trial, Dan Freeman, his lawyer, smuggled a camera into the jail and got some pictures of Waldo's bruises, showed the pictures in court. And then Waldo repudiated his confession, saying that he'd been beaten into it by Officer Ryan.
Well, Alliston, who was the only person who could definitely place Waldo at the scene of the burglary, wouldn't make a positive identification. He's one of those ultra-careful people.
Anyway, the whole case against Waldo blew up when Freeman got Mike Ryan's goat during cross-examination.
Ryan looked like the criminal instead of Waldo. And as there was no direct evidence, none of the stolen gems had been found in the man's possession.
Now the insurance companies are holding the bag. And if they try to renege, it won't hurt Alliston much. He inherited a couple of million about a month after the robbery.
He did?
Yeah. A rich uncle of his died.
Gee, I've always wished for a rich uncle in bad health.
So have we all.
Well, now the only one with any trouble on his hands is poor Mike Ryan,
Casey, Freeman and Waldo threatened to press charges against Ryan and to institute civil action for damages.
Well, that was just bluff, Annie.
Well, they were pretty sore at him from what you've told me. And he was pretty sore at them. I'm not sure that...
All right, excuse me, there's a bar phone.
Annie, look. I'll
No
bet you
Cafe.
that Mike will be back on duty in a week. And that Waldo and Freeman
It's for you,
will
Casey,
go...
your city desk.
Huh? Oh, see, give it to me.
Hmm.
Hello, Burke. Yes, I'm here again. Yes. What? Gleiber's Cafe? Yes, sure, I know where the place is. What? Wait a minute. Say that again, Bert. Okay, we'll get right over there.
Hey, what is it, Casey?
Dan Freeman and Lenny Waldo have just been shot to death, Annie.
Shot?
And Mike Ryan's accused of the murders.
Tomorrow, all over America, cool, frosty drinks will be poured from radiant Sunburst crystal pitchers into sparkling Sunburst crystal tumblers. The radiance of this brand new kind of anchor-hocking crystal can be compared to a finely cut diamond, its beauty to the rarest hand-cut crystal. Yet Sunburst prices are incredibly low. Now, here are just a few examples. Sunburst crystal glasses for fruit juice are only 5 cents apiece. Table tumblers, 2 for 15. Big, oversized glasses for iced drinks, only 10 cents each. And to top it all, a magnificent 2-quart pitcher costs only 50 cents. Now, you'd expect to find crystal as beautiful as this only in a jewelry store. But as a matter of fact, all next week, the windows and counters of the retail stores of America will feature brilliant displays of Sunburst crystal, priced from 5 cents up, slightly more in distant cities. Now, you'll recognize Sunburst immediately by its unique Sunburst design. So look for it, ask for it. Sunburst Crystal, a product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Casey, it isn't pleasant for me to tag another cop for murder, but now this job spells Mike Ryan all the way.
What do we got on him, Logan?
Tell us what happened, Captain.
Well, Gleiber's Cafe here was a regular hangout for Freeman, Miss Williams. After he won a case, he usually brought his client here for a celebration.
Yeah, I know that.
So did Ryan know it, Casey. It was a cinch he'd find Freeman and Waldo together here tonight at Freeman's regular table, which is in line with that window there.
You mean the 2 men were shot from that window?
Yeah. Opens in a dark alley. Ryan took 2 quick shots apiece at Freeman and Waldo, scored clean hits, and then made his getaway through the alley.
Did anyone see Ryan do the shooting?
No, but he left convincing proof that he was the killer.
Proof?
Look at this.
Oh, gold fountain pen.
With his name engraved on it. Inspector Mulcahy gave it to Ryan a couple of years ago for being a top-notch cop.
Where did you find it, Logan?
In the alley. A few yards from that window, where it had fallen from Ryan's pocket.
Someone may have lifted the thing from Mike and planted it there, you know.
I'd like to believe that, Casey, but... Well, Ryan was seen in this neighborhood tonight.
He was.
Only a few blocks from here, Miss Williams. The guy lives on the other side of town, and he was under suspension, so no duty could have brought him here.
Well, it's hard to picture Mike sneaking through a dark alley like a rat and shooting 2 guys in cold blood.
He was awful sore, Casey, and he has a rotten temper.
Well, it's an open, quick temper. It gets red hot in a few seconds and cools off almost as fast.
Look, you or I or nobody knows how fast a temper cools off.
Your guys found him yet?
Oh, but they'll be bringing him in pretty soon. I'm going back to headquarters and wait till they do.
You mind if I stick along with you?
Come on.
Thanks. Annie, take these exposed films back to the office for me, will you, honey?
Mm-hmm. Yes, Casey.
I'll meet you there later. Now I want to hear what Mike Ryan has to say.
I swear I didn't do it, Captain. I didn't know a thing about it till I went home and found Sergeant Flanagan waiting there for me.
What were you doing near Gleiber's Cafe just before the shooting, Ryan?
I explained that to the sergeant, sir.
I want to hear it.
Well, okay. I got a phone call at my home tonight from a guy who wouldn't give his name. He said he'd give me a tip on the Weinstein robbery last week if I'd meet him on Elder Street between Lexington and Grove at 10:30. Now, you've gotten that kind of calls from crooks yourself, Captain. And so have you, Casey.
You know that's so, Logan?
Keep out of this, Casey.
Okay, sorry.
So you were in the neighborhood, Ryan, only because you received this mysterious summons to be there, huh?
Yes, and that's God's truth.
Of course, your man showed up.
Well, no, he didn't. I waited a while and then started back home.
By way of the alley behind Gleiber's Cafe.
I didn't go near Gleiber's. I walked in the other direction.
You walked home, huh?
Yes, a good part of the way, because I wanted to think.
Think up the story you've just told me. What do you got to say about this fountain pen we found?
Well, I lost it somewhere today. I don't know where. Captain, I've been framed for this job.
You've heard that excuse from plenty of crooks yourself, haven't you?
Yes, and sometimes it was true.
1 time in 1,000.
Oh, yes, I know that. Captain, the boys gave me the dermal nitrate test right after they brought me in. It proved I haven't fired a gun for days.
You know all the tricks, Ryan. You could beat the nitrate test.
Well, yes, that's so. Well, where do we go from here, sir? I'm not going to confess to something I didn't do.
And you know I won't let my men beat a confession out of you as you beat one out of Waldo.
What's that?
You heard me. I think Waldo told the truth in court. I think your story about his attempted escape was phony.
And you're a cockeyed fool.
I think you're a liar, Ryan, and a cold-blooded murderer.
No man talks to me like that. Let me go, boys. I'll kill him. I'll kill him.
You want to kill again, don't you? Kill, just as you did tonight. When something starts that temper of yours boiling, all you can think of is murder, isn't it?
I get it. And I fell for your act, Captain. I know I've got a temper, but I'm not a murderer.
Take him away, boys. Let him sit in a cell a while and think. Maybe he'll get wise to himself and tell the truth.
Come on, Ryan. All right. Casey.
Yeah, Mike?
You're not a cop with a cop's way of thinking. Do you believe me?
I think I do, Mike.
Thanks. Let's go to that cell, boys.
You really believe this story, Casey?
Yeah. I think you do too, Logan. You were just putting on an act.
I want to believe it, because he's another cop, which makes me unreliable.
Mike's been a tough cop, and a lot of crooks hate his insides. The quarrel in that courtroom today was pretty public, and news travels fast.
Yeah. Mike's threats did provide a swell setup for a frame.
A perfect one for anyone who wanted Freeman and Waldo out of the way.
Plenty of guys headed in for those 2 rats.
Yeah? Yeah. Well, it's nearly midnight, Logan. I gotta get back to the office and check out and take Annie home.
Yeah, after an hour of the Blue Note.
Sure, that usually finishes up our day for us.
Say, the only time you ever get a bright idea is when you're leaning against that bar. Will you stay there for a couple of hours tonight? Mike Ryan needs a break.
Logan, if he's on the level as we're trying to believe, he'll get his break. Right guys do.
In books written for children.
Anyone ever tell you had a grown-up brain?
Well, I had sense enough not to become a lousy press photographer.
So you became a lousy cop.
Get out of here. I want to think.
What with?
Nuts to you. So long, Mug.
So long, Sap. And nuts to you.
If we could only figure out who stole Ryan's fountain pen, Casey.
Yeah, sure. That's the key to the whole thing, Annie. If the guy's been framed. But some dip might have let it slip out of his pocket. He may have lost it on the street. Somebody picked it up.
Yeah.
As soon as you get that ice chop, Joe, go down the cellar and bring up some more club soda. You hear me, Joe?
Okay, Applewhite.
Oh, gee, I'm tired, Casey. I just had to mix up highballs for a party of 8.
Party of 8 is a pretty young person to be drinking highballs.
Yeah. Huh?
Nothing.
Oh. Oh, I get it. It's not bad. Not bad at all.
It was terrible.
Not that
Was
bad,
it?
Annie. No.
Yeah, I guess you're right, Miss Wales. You two still puzzling over that murder?
I'm getting nowhere, Ethelbert.
Say, ever since you come in, I meant to tell you and forgot. I heard something funny tonight about them guys who was killed.
What?
I got talking here at the bar with a young fella I know. He's studying to be a lawyer. Bunny Shell, his name is. And he said he sat in on Waldo's trial for a while today, you know, to kind of pick up pointers.
So?
Well, so he said he was very much surprised that Dan Freeman didn't tell the jury about Waldo's alibi.
Well, he would have if the rat had had an alibi.
This young fella said he had a dandy.
Oh, now, how did he know?
Well, he'd seen Waldo a lot of times at a bowling alley where he goes to, and he knows Waldo was there at the time he was supposed to be robbing that safe, because Waldo picked a fight with him. Almost.
Hey, wait a minute. He can't be sure.
Sure he's sure.
Well, okay, a good alibi would have gotten Waldo out of jail right after he got in.
The guy Ethelbert talked to is nuts, Annie.
No, he ain't,
He's always talking to
Casey.
nuts.
No, he's a nice fella. Smart, too. He said he got so curious about why no alibi was mentioned at the trial, he went up to the bowling alley and checked. Guys who worked there told him Dan Freeman had come around there after Waldo was arrested and got him to sign papers about him being there at such and such a time. But they didn't hear from him again.
Did he tell you what bowling alley it was?
Yeah, the Acme on 11th Street.
Acme. All right, Annie, come on. We're going to do some checking there.
Why?
It may be Ryan's break.
Oh, I don't get it.
Annie, if this story's true, the whole thing is simple. I'll know who really killed those two guys tonight and why.
Sit down, Mr. Casey.
Thanks, Mr. Alliston.
To what am I indebted for this visit at this hour in the morning?
Are we alone here?
My servants are all in bed, if that's what you mean. Why do you ask?
I think you'd prefer to hear what I have to say alone.
I have no idea of your meaning.
The meaning is money.
Money?
Mm-hmm. Yours. A lot of it.
Talk straight, Mr. Casey.
Okay. I know that you killed Freeman and Waldo tonight and framed Mike Ryan for the job.
You're mad.
Am I? And you killed them, Alliston, because they were cutting themselves in on most of the dough you inherited from your uncle.
Really?
Uh-huh.
You're beginning to interest me. Go on.
Around last Christmas time, you didn't have your uncle's millions. You needed dough. And you figured that a good way to get it was to steal from your own business. So you staged a fake robbery.
This is ridiculous. The police were thoroughly satisfied the robbery was no fake.
Sure, you and Dan Freeman staged it so well. And your description of the thief was sure to result in Waldo's arrest. Do I interest you?
Go on.
Well, to make it look good to the insurance companies, someone had to take a rap for a while. So Waldo was brought into the scheme. He made a confession that he'd robbed your safe after protecting himself with an alibi he never had to use. Your identification of him was just positive enough to hold him, but so unpositive that a jury would acquit him. But these characters double-crossed you. Now they could send you to jail for conniving in the theft of your own insured property. And they're putting the screws on tight now, right?
You seem to be doing the talking.
All right, I'll go on. When it seemed certain that they'd take most of your new insurance in blackmail, your new inheritance, you watched for a chance to double-cross them. Mike Ryan's threats in court gave you that chance. And when you helped me keep him from socking Freeman and Waldo, you slipped his fountain pen out of his pocket. Later, you made the phone call that brought him to the neighborhood of Gleiber's Cafe. You did a smart job, Alliston. Almost smart enough.
And how would you attempt to prove this wild theory?
You've heard about the dermal nitrate test, haven't you?
Dermal nitrate test?
Yeah, that establishes whether a man has fired a gun recently.
Oh, of course.
Freeman and Waldo were shot less than 4 hours ago. The tests applied to the man who shot them would be conclusive. Shall I call the cops and ask them to test you?
You said you came here for money. You're a blackmailer.
Another one, just like Freeman and Waldo, only wiser.
Purely out of curiosity, how much do you want?
$100,000.
You're most conservative.
Which will it be? The money or the cops?
Neither.
Oh. Why that gun?
You're no smarter than Freeman and Waldo, Casey. And I'm going to kill you, too.
And then what happens to you?
This is my house. I surprise a prowler in my home and shoot him, as anyone has a right to do. And the shot I'll fire at you, Casey, will account for the result of any dermal nitrate test. So...
Nice shooting, Logan. You knocked the gun right out of his
Oh,
hand.
gee, you waited so long, Captain, I was afraid that Casey...
This guy would only have shot Casey if I hadn't got him first, Miss Williams.
My pal, Annie.
You were outside this window all the time, Captain?
Uh-huh. There, Elliston. I put the bracelets on you nice and easy. There isn't a bruise on you or a bump.
I'm going to take a picture of him, Logan. Yeah, does it? Now no shyster lawyer will convince a jury that Alliston's confession before witnesses was gotten by way of anything but simple kindness.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. That 4th of July picnic or fishing trip tomorrow will be a lot more fun if it's topped off with a good cold bottle of beer. And be sure it's beer bottled in the convenient new Anchor Glass one-way, no-deposit bottle. Light as a feather, compact as a watch, amazingly sturdy, these new bottles can be carried easily and safely anywhere. Yet, like ordinary bottles, they hold 12 full ounces. And best of all, Anchor Glass one-way bottles require no deposit, no return to the store. They're made to be thrown away once they've served their purpose. Of course, they're easy to open and safe to drink from. And most important of all, they bring you beer and ale protected by glass. Clean, sanitary glass. Glass that will never impart any foreign flavor. Glass that keeps beer and ale brewery bright. For enjoyable picnics, indoors or out, buy your favorite beer or ale in the new, more convenient Anchor Glass one-way bottle. Product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Mike Ryan's back on the force, huh, Casey?
Naturally, Ethelbert.
Mm-hmm. And reinstated, with apologies from the commissioner and Judge Lucas.
There's a couple of things I still don't understand. Why did me telling you about Waldo's alibi give you the big idea that...
Ethelbert, when a crook gets into a jam, the first thing he pulls is an alibi. If he has one, that is. Well, Waldo had one. Yet neither he nor his lawyer ever even mentioned it.
No, there had to be a reason.
Sure. The only reason must be that he wanted to be thought guilty of that robbery.
Oh, which was covered by insurance. So they were trying to fool the insurance company.
That's right. And they'd have no point in doing that unless the insured person, Alliston, was in on the deal. Then, knowing Alliston had inherited big dough, it was a cinch to figure the blackmail angle.
Oh, sure, the whole thing was perfectly simple.
Yeah? Simplicity itself.
Casey, there's a couple of things I still don't understand. Would you mind explaining that again?
Come on, Annie. This is where we came in. Good night, Ethelbert.
Good night. Huh?
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Is directed by John Dietz. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. Thursday Saturday night on CBS is the biggest show in town. So stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Listen, Casey, I'm a great man.
Huh? What have you done now, Ethelbert?
I'm the only man on the block who never saw a flying saucer.
Well, that won't put you on history's pages.
You mean I won't be famous?
No, Ethelbert. You gotta do something. You gotta be outstanding to be famous.
Sure, like Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole. Our adventure for tonight, Lady Killer. Mid-afternoon, the cocktail lounge of a luxurious resort hotel in Colorado. A man enters, surveys the place with casual approval, and saunters toward the bar. He's about 35, well-dressed and rather good-looking, but there's nothing distinctive about him. As he waits for one of the bartenders to serve him, he hums an old tune.
What'd it be, sir?
Martini, please. Extra dry.
Yes, sir. Say, haven't I served you before, sir?
Well, no, I just checked into the hotel an hour ago. This is my first visit to the bar.
I don't mean here. Someplace else. Maybe L.A. I worked there last year.
I've never been to Los Angeles.
Denver or Frisco, then?
No, I'm sure we've never met before. I've spent the last 10 years in Europe.
Well, I've never been across the water. Yet. I guess you just remind me of somebody.
Yes, I imagine that's it.
Yeah. See how this martini strikes you.
Uh-huh. Oh, it's exactly right.
That's how I try to make everything. Call me when you want another. My name's Frank.
Frank.
Yeah?
I shan't want another for a while, so I'll pay you now. You are? Keep the change.
Say, thanks.
Quite all right. Oh, by the way, that fine-looking woman at the corner table over there, you know her?
The brunette with the big diamond ring?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know her.
Her face is very familiar. I was just wondering if...
You've probably seen her picture in the papers. There was a big story about her a couple of weeks ago when she got a Reno divorce from her husband, plus $1 million settlement.
Oh.
She's Madeline Chalmers.
Oh, yes, of course.
I used to wait on her back in Toledo, where she comes from. I worked there 2 years ago. She and another wealthy lady named Utley used to say I was the only bartender they'd ever met who could make a planter's punch exactly right.
This Mrs. Utley, she's a close friend of Mrs. Chalmers?
Miss Utley. She was one of them bachelor girls then. Or since she's married a banker named Fisher. Yeah, she and Mrs. Chalmers were pals.
Well, I'm acquainted with a banker named Fisher. I believe he married an Utley. Let's see now. His first name is...
This one's first name is Douglas. He the one you know?
Well, his wife's first name is...
Irene. Irene Utley.
Uh-huh, they're the people.
I'm told they took a trip to Europe last year where you were. I guess you met him over there.
Yes, London or Paris, I think. Mr. and Mrs. Fisher aren't here by any chance.
Oh, no. Mrs. Chalmers tells me they're up in Maine this summer. Bar Harbor.
Well, since Mrs. Chalmers is alone, I shouldn't be intruding if I introduce myself, I suppose, and inquired about my friends, the Fishers.
No, I don't think so.
I'll see you later, Frank.
Thanks again, Mr.
Thank you. How do you do, Mrs. Chalmers?
I beg your pardon?
I can see you've forgotten me.
Irene Utley introduced us several years ago in Toledo, I think it was, before she married Doug Fisher.
Oh, you're a friend of Irene's and Doug's?
Well, I spent a day with them only a week ago in Bar Harbor.
How are they? Irene hasn't written to me in ages.
They were fine, enjoying themselves. May I sit down and order us... I seem to remember you had a preference for Planter's Punch.
Do sit down.
Thank you very much.
I'm terribly embarrassed. You remember even my favorite drink, and I can't recall...
Well, unlike you, I have a face that people soon forget. My name is Grammerton, Cecil Grammerton.
Cecil Grammerton.
You plan to stay here for some time, Mrs. Chalmers?
At least several weeks.
Well, I'm going to remain about the same period, and if you'll permit our acquaintance to ripen, I'll try hard not to be forgotten again.
Come in, Cecil.
Thank you, Madeline. Oh, you look lovely this evening. More so than usual.
You like this gown?
No, it isn't the gown or the perfection of your hair or those magnificent diamonds you're wearing. That's simply you.
Cecil, you always say the right thing. I'm afraid you're what my dad used to call a lady killer.
Lady killer?
Or a wolf.
Oh, well, now do I look like a wolf or a lady killer?
No, which makes you doubly dangerous. A week ago, when you came to my table in that cocktail lounge, I thought what a mild, negative, innocuous man you were.
And now?
Now I'm in my suite alone with you. I sent my maid away tonight, as you requested.
Which proves?
I like you. Sit down.
Mm-hmm.
Hand me a cigarette, will you?
Yes, of course. Here you are.
Thanks.
Light?
Mm-hmm.
You, only like me, Madeline? Last night I told you that I loved you.
And I almost believed you.
Didn't believe me?
A rich divorcee should be careful, especially when she knows the man no better than I know you.
You'll get better acquainted with me tonight. You sure we're really alone here?
Of course, dear.
Now, what do you want to know about me, hmm? I'll hold you close as I tell you. Do you suspect I'm a fortune hunter who wants to marry you for your money?
That's a possibility. But I'm comfortable in your arms.
It's an impossibility. I wouldn't marry you for any amount of money.
You wouldn't marry me?
Or anyone like you.
Cecil, let go of my throat. Take your hands away.
I'll tell you what I am, Madeline.
Cecil.
I'm really a lady killer. Really a lady killer. Such nice diamonds you had, Mrs. Chalmers. You won't need them anymore.
Hey, Walter.
Yes, Cecil Boy.
Don't forget to stack some more paper napkins under the bar.
I won't.
Speaking of paper, reminds me, Casey, did you see the newspapers this morning?
Certainly not. I only work on a paper. I don't read them.
There's a deep suspicion, Ethelbert, that no press photographer knows how to read.
Yeah, I heard that, Miss Williams.
It's also suspected, Annie, that few reporters know how to write.
Oh, yeah? Huh.
Yeah, well, anyway, your Morning Express had an article saying that fella who's believed to have strangled Mrs. Madeline Chalmers in Colorado last month, is thought to be hiding in this town. Is that true?
No, it's baloney. Confidentially, Ethelbert. Papers all over the country got such a swell front page spread out of that Colorado hotel murder, they're trying to keep it alive.
Oh, wait a minute, Annie. Don't be skeptical. The police have pretty definitely tied him up with a murder of 7 other wealthy widows.
Well, it's not known for sure that Cecil Grammerton has killed and robbed other women.
That's just some more newspaper buildup, huh?
Not in my book or in the cops. Listen, during the last 5 years, 7 other rich women have been strangled and their valuables stolen under nearly exactly the same circumstances.
Casey, people in that Colorado hotel who saw Granderson every day don't give a description of him that agrees with the men suspected of the other crimes.
Well, they don't agree with each other in their descriptions of Grammerton. He seems to be one of those negative-looking guys nobody ever remembers.
The bartender out there remembered him, according to what I read.
All he remembers about him is that he was always humming sentimental songs. That isn't very much to go on.
Whenever there's a sensational crime, a witness usually turns up who tries to get into the spotlight by telling a lot more than he really knows.
Say, come on, we got to get out of here, Annie.
Oh, yeah, we're due at the Fenimore Plaza in 10 minutes.
That's right.
What are you going to do at that swanky hotel?
Oh, one of those lousy assignments. The Express has an exclusive tip that the Clara Simmons has broken her engagement to the Charlie Fawcett.
And we're getting a confirmation or denial from her before we pass the news to our palpitating public.
Clara Simmons is the oil heiress?
Yeah. Worth about $20 million. What I've heard, though, she's kind of a wet smack. She doesn't smoke, she doesn't drink, she doesn't approve of modern bathing suits.
She's a very nice girl, Casey. She's just a little bit old-fashioned. I've met her.
I haven't met an old-fashioned girl for years. They're old-fashioned now.
Yeah, that... Oh, well. Come on, Annie. See you later this evening, pal.
So long, Ethelbert.
So long, Walter. Or so long, Casey. Walter, where are those napkins?
The report you heard is altogether correct, Miss Williams. Mr. Fawcett and I have broken our engagement.
Do you care to give me the reason, Miss Simmons?
I can only say that he and I agreed upon the termination and that we shall remain the best of friends. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm expecting guests.
May I take a picture of you before we go, Miss Simmons?
I'd rather you wouldn't, Mr. Casey.
Oh, well, we can run one of your old ones that we have in our files, but you look so nice this evening, I'd rather...
You know that no woman can withstand that kind of flattery. Take your picture.
Thanks. Will you stand over there by the piano, please?
Surely.
Casey wasn't guilty of flattery, Miss Simmons. That gown is charming.
Thank you. Do you like the style?
Very much. I haven't seen anything like it. It must be the latest.
It was 20 years ago. My mother wore it then.
Your mother?
She wore it to a ball only a week before she died. I was just a child then, but I've never forgotten how pretty she looked. I kept it. I had it made over to wear tonight.
Some big event must be scheduled for tonight, eh?
It is, Mr. Casey. Will you take your picture now and then excuse me?
Oh, sure.
Oh, I'm afraid I'll have to answer that. I've given my servants the evening off.
Evening, Clara.
Come in, Evans. Where's your mother?
Well, she phoned that she'll be delayed. She'll join us here in a little while.
Oh.
You have guests.
This lady and gentleman are from the Morning Express. They're leaving right away. Miss Williams, Mr. Casey, this is Mr. Pentecost.
How do you do, Mr. Pentecost?
Pleasure.
Sit down, Evans. Mr. Casey is going to take a picture of me.
Very well.
Will you stand by the piano again, Miss Simmons?
Well, yes, of course. Like this?
Yes, that's swell. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, I hope you won't think me rude if I ask.
Not at all. You've been very kind. Thank you very much. Good night, Miss Simmons and Mr.
Pentecost. Evans Pentecost.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, and thanks again.
You bet.
Not at all.
Why were those newspaper people here, Clara?
To ask me about my engagement to Charles. I told them I'd broken in.
To tell them why?
I didn't say a word about you. Evans, you said you were bringing your mother here to meet me. I sent the servants away, as you requested, so the three of us could be completely alone. But since your mother's been delayed, I think we should...
You're worried about us being alone?
Why, naturally.
You're very different from other women I've known.
We'll go down to the mezzanine and wait for your mother.
You're lovely in that gown, Clara.
Don't try to change the subject, Evans.
My mother once had a gown like that.
Be a good boy now. Let's go down to the mezzanine.
We must be alone or you wouldn't be so insistent.
Why, of course we're alone.
Alone?
Evans, why do you look at me like that?
We're alone.
Evans, you frightened me.
All alone.
Don't come any closer. Go away, Evans! Don't touch me!
At the end of a long, hot summer day, listen for the tinkle of ice cubes on Frosty Crystal. Cool summer drinks are doubly inviting when served in the amazing new Sunburst Crystal. Now, this truly fine crystal has the radiance of a diamond. Its brilliance is like rare old hand-cut crystal. And now, thanks to a revolutionary new anchor-hocking manufacturing discovery, you can enjoy this magnificent crystal at unbelievably low prices. Imagine a Sunburst crystal glass for fruit juice priced at only 5 cents. Imagine 10-ounce table tumblers, 2 for 15. Big, oversized glasses for ice drinks, only 10 cents each. And a beautiful matching 2-quart pitcher for only 50 cents. That's what you'll find tomorrow and Saturday in the windows and on the counters of the retail stores of America. Prices slightly higher in distant cities. Don't put it off. Enjoy Sunburst Crystal this weekend. Sunburst Crystal is a product of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass.
Taxicab for you, Mr. Pentacle.
Thank you, boy.
It's outside this door, sir.
You've put my baggage in it?
Yes, sir. Everything's all set.
Here, this is for your trouble.
Thanks very much. I hope you'll be our guest at the Fenimore Plaza again, and very soon, sir.
I don't think I shall be. Union Terminal driver.
Goodbye, Mr. Pentacle.
Goodbye.
Bellboy!
Huh?
Bellboy!
Yes, sir?
The guy who just got into that cab. Where was he going from here?
It's against Fenimore Plaza rules to give out information concerning our guests, sir.
Nuts with rules. That guy's a murderer.
Of what?
I was bartender in the Colorado Hotel where he killed Mrs. Chalmers. That guy's Cecil Grammerton.
Grammerton?
The lady killer. Get the cops after him quick. Then find out what dame he strangled here.
Grammerton got away, Captain Logan.
Yeah, he did, Miss Williams. My men located the cab that took him from this hotel, but he'd gotten out of it with his baggage only a few blocks from here.
He didn't go to Union Terminal where he told the driver to take him.
Oh. Where he is now is anybody's guess, Casey.
You said he didn't hurt Miss Simmons, Logan.
That's right. She was hysterical when they found her, but otherwise she was okay.
Well, she was hysterical because he tried to kill her.
No, he didn't even lay a hand on her, Miss Williams.
What?
The thing's screwy the way she tells it. She says she suddenly got terribly afraid of the guy. He started to reach for her, and there was an insane look on his puss. And all of a sudden he drops his hands, mumbles an apology, and walks out.
Oh. Of course, you've searched the rooms that Grammerton occupied.
Sure.
Well, did you find anything that might lead to...
No, nothing that looks very hot, just an old photograph.
A photograph?
Yeah, of a woman. I'd say it was taken 20, 25 years ago. It was in a nice leather frame, and obviously slipped out of one of the guy's suitcases.
Can we see it?
Yes, but there's to be no mention of it in your paper. I'm not tipping Grammerton that we have the thing.
That's off the record, Logan.
No, of course.
Okay. Here it is.
Huh? Oh, she's a sweet-looking old lady.
Too sweet. He's a prim and prissy type.
Uh-huh.
Hey, look, the name of the photographer who took this picture is at the bottom, Logan. Perkins. Name of the town.
Yeah, Perkins of Fairview.
Fairview. That's only about 100 miles from here. Isn't it?
I'm taking a trip up there tomorrow.
Oh, huh? I'll go with you.
Okay, but you may be wasting your time. It's my job to go.
I got a hunch it won't be wasted time, Logan. And I've got another hunch. A hunch that no newspaper guy should get.
Yeah, what's that?
That you should kill the entire story of what happened tonight.
Kill the story?
Yes, Annie, every bit of it.
Oh, it's big news, Casey. Front page.
It doesn't matter. Put that bartender under wraps, Logan. Tell the hotel people and Miss Simmons to clam up about what they know and give all the papers a hush-hush order.
Since this is the first time I ever got that kind of advice from a news hound, I'll take it.
Oh, you should be thrown to the squirrels for this, Casey.
Oh, no, Annie. The big story will be Grammerton's arrest, and we'll play for an exclusive on that. Logan, how soon can we leave for Fairview?
Well, yes, Captain Logan. I took this picture of the lady, 20 years ago, I'd say. It was shortly before her death.
Oh, she's dead, Mr. Perkins.
Yes, she died of pneumonia.
Well, who was she?
Mrs. Asa Bristow. A very fine woman. I was her neighbor for many years, and we attended the same church.
Did she have any children?
Why, she had an only son, Elmer, an extremely well-behaved boy. They were inseparable, and her death was a great blow to him. He was only about 15 at the time.
Now, you know what happened to this Elmer?
No. Relatives took him out west to live, and I've heard nothing of him since.
Could you describe him, Mr. Perkins?
Well, I knew the boy so well I should be able to. You know, that's strange. I can't just seem to remember what he looked like.
You can't?
Well, there was nothing about him. All that I can really recall is that he had a great attraction for girls and older women, although he seemed to care nothing for anybody but his mother. And he had a habit that was frequently irritating, a habit of humming sentimental old songs. I'm sorry I can't be of greater help to you.
You've helped plenty, Mr. Perkins, and thanks a million. Let's go, Logan.
Yeah. I'll probably get in touch with you later, Mr. Perkins.
Well, I'll be at your service, Captain.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, gentlemen.
Goodbye. He couldn't have given us a better description, pal.
Yeah, but what does it get us? Apparently, the lady killer's real name is Elmer Bristow, and he had a doting mother.
Now, wait a minute, Logan. I think he developed what the psychological docs call a mother complex.
So what?
So it finally made him go haywire and start killing gals like Madeline Chalmers. Listen, Logan, all of the 8 women strangled by this guy were direct opposites of his mother. They were unconventional babes who did all the things that Mama had taught her only son to despise.
Casey, he did those murders for dough.
Those thefts will send him to the chair instead of an asylum when he's caught, Logan. But his real motive, I believe, was hatred of a type. Well, he proved that last night when he didn't hurt Clara Simmons. Because I think she was the same type as his mother. In that old-fashioned dress she had on, he may have seen her all of a sudden as his mother.
Yeah, you may be right. And from what you just suggested, maybe we can figure a way to make him walk right into our hands.
Of course we can.
And by using your dear old power of the press and Clara Simmons.
Gerard.
Yes, Dorothy?
Must you gaze into space and hum those corny songs? I must be dreadful company.
Oh, I beg your pardon, darling. I was thinking.
Light me a cigarette.
Oh, sure. Shall we get another drink?
Oh, not now. Sitting here on the beach has made me lazy.
We're going to look out at the beach from your apartment tonight. Alone.
Mm-hmm.
Until tonight, every minute will seem like an hour.
That romantic line is pretty old, Gerard.
Yeah, well, I'll try to do better next time.
I hope you do. Oh, speaking of romance, did you see this morning's papers?
No.
Oh, there was the silliest story about that frightfully rich Clara Simmons.
Clara Simmons?
Yes. Ever meet her?
What? No.
I have. She's a drippy little thing.
What did the paper say about her?
Oh, she's very ill.
Ill?
Pneumonia.
Pneumonia?
Brought on by a breakdown. Caused, the paper said, by a wrecked romance.
I see. Well, did the paper say where Miss Simmons is?
Well, she's in the city hospital, I believe.
Dorothy, will you excuse me? I've got to go back to the hotel.
Oh, why?
I've got to put through a long-distance call. Business. I may have to leave here on the very first train.
Leave? What's happening about tonight?
Well, nothing, to my regret. Because, Dorothy, you're just the sort of woman I love to find alone.
There he is, Captain Logan. The man getting out of that cab.
Fine, Miss Simmons. Well, Casey, our cockeyed scheme worked,
I was pretty sure it would.
We knew he'd fallen for it after that long-distance call came through to the hospital.
When they told him I was really ill, Miss Williams, he came to me.
Now, don't think of what he's doing now, Miss Simmons. Think of what he has done.
Yes, I must.
Oh, here he comes, Captain.
This is it. Hello, Elmer Bristow.
What? Will you let go of me?
You're a collector of jewelry. Here's a pair of bracelets for you.
Oh, what's the meaning of this? What? Clara. Clara.
Yes.
You're not ill. This was a trick.
Yeah. And now a few uninhibited rich gals are going to enjoy longer lives. Take them away, men. Now, come on, Miss Simmons. I'll help you back to
Annie. Huh. Miss Simmons is crying. So what has that insignificant-looking guy got? Made the women fall for him.
Casey, if he wasn't on his way to jail, I think I'd try to find out.
Yeah. Huh?
We gals crave romance. And if we don't get it from overwhelming personalities like yours, well, there are a lot of Elmers.
Annie, I think there's going to be some nice moonlight tonight.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
So?
Well, poor little Miss Simmons needs comforting. Maybe I should invite her to go out with... Ow! Ow!
Oh, I'm so sorry, Casey. I didn't mean to kick you in the shin.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. You know, beer isn't the most important thing in the world, but it certainly is one of the pleasantest. And Anchor Hocking's revolutionary new one-way bottle makes beer and ale easy to enjoy. You know, it took a lot of research to develop this one-way bottle. It had to be light, compact, sturdy. It had to be so low in cost that no deposit, no return to the store is necessary. And that's what it is. A little wizard at fitting into packed refrigerators. Easy and safe to open. Easy and safe to drink from. No trouble about returns. When it's empty, just throw it away. And best of all, it's glass. Glass that can't affect the flavor and purity of beer and ale. Glass that keeps your beer brewery bright. You'll find 12-ounce, no-deposit bottles of your favorite brand at your local store. For beer at its best, ask for it in the new Anchor Glass one-way bottle, a product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
This guy, Elmer, admitted all his murders, huh?
Yep, he's a psychopathic case, Ethelbert, and when his kind start talking, they keep it up. You know, that guy's proud of all his killings. He's bragging about them now.
A nice, sweet guy.
Yeah.
And you got him to come back here by figuring Clara Simmons had the engine sign on him just as his mother had, huh?
Yeah, he couldn't let her die of pneumonia as his mother died without trying to save her.
So clever, this Casey. Expert photographer, consulting psychologist, and eminent authority on affairs of the heart.
What?
You sound bitter, Miss Williams.
Do I?
Well, Annie, I'm not responsible for this rain tonight.
Who said anything about weather?
Well, if it had been a nice moonlit night, I thought...
I'm not interested in what you thought.
Oh.
To a person with even the slightest imagination, moonlight is non-essential.
Oh. Well, care to take a drive in the rain, Annie?
Well, if the right person invited me, properly.
Miss Williams, will you go for a drive in the rain with me? I'd love to have your company.
Why, yes, Mr. Casey. Where shall we drive?
Poor Clara Simmons must still need comforting. How about calling on her and... Ow, my other shin!
So sorry, Mr. Casey. Clumsy of me.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Is directed by John Dietz. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town. So stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Casey, did you see where my niece got engaged last week?
Oh, is her name Princess Elizabeth?
No, her name's Jane.
Then I didn't see it.
How do you like that? If you're not royalty, no one knows what happens to you.
You don't have to be royalty, Ethelbert. You just got to be famous.
Sure, like Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, Self-Made Hero. Casey, like most news cameramen, has a radio in his automobile that he keeps tuned to police calls. Tonight, as he and reporter Ann Williams drive leisurely toward the Express building after covering a routine assignment.
Calling car 55. Car 55. Come in, car 55. Car 55, Sergeant Brannon.
Brannon? Hey, we know Sergeant Brannon.
He's a good pal of mine, Annie. I didn't know they had him on prowl car duty.
Frisco. Report of shooting there. Proceed to alleyway on...
Hey, wait a minute. It'll be repeated. Listen.
Clark and Frisco. Report of shooting there. No further details. That is all.
More Casey, like we're only a few blocks from there. Maybe there's a story.
With pictures.
Next stop, 12th Street.
Between Clark and Frisco.
Oh, usual crowds collected, Casey.
And there comes a police car, Annie. We're getting here a jump ahead of Brannon. Get out. Come on.
Okay.
All right, get back, you people. Get back. This ain't no circus.
Oh, there's a patrolman over there,
The young
Casey.
fellow beside him must have had something to do with the shooting.
Why, he's just a tall, lanky boy,
I said get back, everybody. That means you and this lady, mister.
And we're press officers.
Oh, you're press, huh? Where's the car?
Here comes your sergeant. He knows it. Hello there, Brannon.
Oh, hiya, Casey. Hello, Miss Williams.
Hello, Sergeant.
What's the trouble, Johnson? Why, this young fella here, Sergeant, he says someone took a couple of pot shots at him back in that alleyway.
I didn't call for assistance, officer, until I'd done everything possible to help myself.
Well, let's get inside this cigar store, then it can tell me what happened. Come on, Casey. All right, move back there. Let us through, will you? Come on, one side. Now, then, let's have your story, Bud. What's your name?
The name is Wellington Cliffside. Only one S in Cliffside. At present employed as junior pharmacist at Black's 10th Street Drugstore.
Uh-huh.
I see you carry a camera, Mr. Casey.
Yeah.
Well, anytime you say, I believe in cooperating with the newspapers.
Now, wait a minute. I'm only a cop, but I still want to know what this shooting was about.
Oh, certainly, Sergeant. Well, as I've already told Officer Johnson, during the past month I became suspicious of two men who've been making telephone calls from the drugstore.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I made it my business to overhear parts of their conversation. And what I heard, Sergeant, convinced me that they are spies.
Spies?
Foreign agents. Well, they must have become suspicious of my suspicions. For tonight, they acted.
Acted?
Yes, sir. A few minutes ago, I was standing there at the corner waiting for a young lady of my acquaintance when these two men passed me.
The two men have been making the mysterious phone calls, huh?
Yes, sir. I saw them go into the dark, deserted alley back of us. I followed them. Now I know they meant to lure me to my death. For when I entered the alley...
He says they grabbed him, Sarge.
Let him tell the story, Johnson.
Well, they seized me, Sergeant. One of them slashed at me with a knife. Oh, look, you can see the tears he made in my overcoat.
There in the left sleeve, huh?
Mm-hmm. And here in the front.
The knife didn't get stuck into you yourself?
No, I broke away, and they ran, with me in hot pursuit.
Uh-huh.
Then they pulled guns and started shooting.
The bullets missed you.
I was lucky. I chased them to the end of the alley.
With them shooting?
Well, I considered it my duty, Sergeant.
Then what happened?
Then I found that they disappeared, probably into one of the buildings on this street. I knew I couldn't find them all by myself, so I yelled.
Huh?
I should say I shouted for assistance. This policeman came up and, well, he can tell you the rest.
There ain't no rest, Sarge. Except I couldn't find no mysterious strangers around like this young fella described.
Okay, Johnson. Did this guy show you where the shooting and stabbing took place in that alley?
Yes, I did, Sergeant. I'll show you.
You stay here. Roberts.
Yes, sir?
You keep Mr. Wellington Rockside company while I have a look around out here. Come on, Johnson, and show
it's
me.
Wellington Cliffside, Sergeant.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Well, Mr. Casey, I suppose you want to take some pictures of me for your newspaper.
Yeah, I think you're worth a couple of pictures, fella. Now, hold up that overcoat sleeve to show the tear in it while I back off and get you in focus.
That's a terribly phony story that he told, Casey.
Phonies can make good laugh copy, Annie. Kid's an amateur Dick Tracy.
I'll hold out the front of my overcoat, too, Mr. Casey, so you can get a picture of the knife cut there.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, Wellington, now hold it. Thank you.
Wellington, oh, let me through, please. Wellington.
Myrna.
Look at that girl, Casey.
Bobby Sock's
Oh,
kid.
Wellington, they told me how those awful men had tried to kill you. Oh, you're not hurt.
Oh, well, I got the best of them, Myrna. But you can see what they did to my coat.
Wellington. Oh, isn't it lucky you had on your old one?
Excuse me, Mr. Cliffside. Is this the young lady you were waiting for?
Yes, Mr. Casey. Miss Williams, Mr. Casey, this is Miss Myrna Adams. Mr. Casey is on a newspaper, Myrna. He's just been taking pictures of me.
Oh, how nice.
How do you do, Miss
I
Adams?
knew all about those spies Wellington was after, Mr. Casey. I was the only one he told about them. Oh, Wellington, you've been wonderful. If they'd hurt you, I don't know what I'd do.
Oh, gee, Myrna, it was...
Sergeant Brannon's coming back, Casey, and there's a woman with him.
Sergeant. Did you find any clues in the alley that might help us catch those spies?
Plenty, young fella. Is this the guy, Mrs. Levy?
That's him, Sergeant. That long string bean of a kid.
What?
This lady lives in the flat building next to the alley. She happened to be looking out of her window when you were cutting holes in your own coat with a penknife.
All the windows were dark in the alley. The alley was dark.
I got the kind of eyes what see good at night. And why should I burn electricity when I'm only looking out mine window? I mind my own business. I wouldn't tell the cops if they hadn't come asking me if I saw something.
And she saw you fire those shots.
I didn't fire any shots.
No, but you set off some homemade firecrackers that sounded like shots. Here's pieces of them I found back there.
Sergeant, look.
I saw you light a match to those firecrackers, young man.
Firecrackers?
Myrna.
There weren't any spies. No one tried to kill you. This was all a bluff.
Myrna, look.
You cheater, you cheap rug cutter, you firecracker shooter, you faker.
You gotta listen to me.
I never want to see you again.
Don't go away, Myrna, don't.
Yeah, you stay here, mister.
Well, I gotta explain to her. You gotta let me explain, Sergeant, please.
She's gone. You've got some explaining to do to the judge after I run you in. Hey, Roberts, make out your report on this guy, and we'll take him to the station.
Okay, Sarge, come on.
All right.
Hey, Brandon.
Yeah? What, Casey?
Don't run that kid in.
And why not?
Well, couldn't you see he was making a grandstand play for that Bobby Sox gal, and it flopped? Well, he's already taken one on the chin and hard.
Now, look, Casey, we cops have too much trouble with his kind of
I
police.
know, but do me a favor, will you, Brandon? I'll do one for you sometime.
I don't make trades. But I don't get any kick out of pinching goofy kids either. Look, Casey, you can have Wellington Brookside if you only take him away from here. If you don't, well, that mob out there has heard what's happened, and they'll kid him right.
I'll take him away.
Okay, thanks, Casey. I'll tell him to get in your car.
Hey, what's the idea, Casey?
I don't like to see a kid KO'd twice in one night, Annie. Look, and when you get to the office, kid, don't write this story, for laughs or otherwise. I'm forgetting the pictures I took.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
All right, come on. I'm going to drive the kid home, and I'll drop you on the way. Well, here you are, Annie.
Okay. So long, Casey. Goodbye, Wellington.
Goodbye, Miss Williams.
See you in a little while, Annie.
Okay.
Hey, kid, is that Wellington name, is that on the level?
My name is Jack.
Jack? Oh, that's my name. Okay, Jack.
I don't want to bother you, Mr. Casey.
It's nobody. Look, forget that Mr. stuff. Just plain Casey's all I rate. Cigarette?
Yeah, thanks. I was too ashamed to open my mouth while Miss Williams was with us. Now I want you to know I think it was swell of you to talk the cops into letting me go.
Sergeant Brannon was only looking for an excuse not to run you in. He's a regular guy.
I deserve to be run in. I must have been crazy to think I could get away with what I tried to do.
Well, all of us are a little nutty at times, I guess. We get over it, though. Here's some matches for that cigarette.
Huh? Oh, thanks.
Pretty kid, Miss Adams.
Yeah.
You like to tell me about her? Often does a guy good to get things off his chest.
Yeah. Mr. Casey, I've got a bum back.
You got bum back?
I fell down a flight of stairs a couple of years ago, and now I've got to wear a steel corset to keep it in place.
Oh. Well, your bum back and the steel corset have anything to do
Everything.
with
You see, Myrna, Miss Adams admires guys who do things. You know, like Clark Gable and Gary Cooper in the movies.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Well, I told her about my bum back. But I said it got hurt while I was playing football. I said I'd been the star halfback in high school. Then she found out I've never been a good enough athlete to even get on a girls' softball team. And that I just stumbled over my own feet going downstairs. Since then, she hasn't believed anything I've told her. Except for maybe a minute tonight before the cops called my bluff. She thinks I am, well, just what I am. Big, skinny clown who can't do anything regular guys can do. That's out of my own imagination.
Maybe if somebody talked to Myrna, she might look at things a little differently. Miss Williams might do that.
No, Miss Williams is another girl. She couldn't do any good. Oh, you might, though.
Me?
Yeah, she respects old guys.
Old?
Well, I don't mean you're so very old, but you must be all of 30.
Yeah? Pretty ancient, huh?
And you're in the newspaper racket. You must know cops and murderers and... Gee, I bet you've even talked to G-men and movie stars. Oh, Myrna will think you're almost as important a guy as Clark Gable or even Humphrey Bogart.
Oh, now,
Oh, she'll listen to you, Casey. Will you go to her and explain that I'm not just a heel?
Now, listen, Jack,
oh, please, Casey.
Well, okay, fella.
Oh, gee. Thanks.
It's no use, Mr. Casey. I think it's very fine of you to try to defend Mr. Cliffside, but I never want to hear his name again. I consider him a drip.
Oh, no. Don't be like that, Miss Adams. He's a nice kid. He's crazy about you.
No, Mr. Casey. He and I are through. Forever.
I'm sorry. Well, there's nothing more I can say, so I'll shove off.
Oh, don't rush away. You've talked so much about Mr. Cliffside, I haven't heard a thing about you.
Me?
Uh-huh. You've rescued people from burning buildings and captured burglars single-handed, and you're a real hero.
Whoever told you that was having a pipe dream.
Oh, no, you're just being modest, like I think all men should be.
Say, look, where did I put my hat, Miss Adams?
Oh, come on. Please sit down, Mr. Casey.
No,
and let's get better acquainted. There. I've always wanted to meet a man like you.
We'll continue in just a moment. Good evening, Dorothy.
Hello, Tony. What's our subject tonight?
Pie plates.
Pie plates?
Pie plates. Not ordinary pie plates, but a new kind of pie plate. The biggest bargain in years.
Why, it's made of glass.
Well, this is the Anchor Hocking program, and this new Fire King oven glass pie plate is something special.
For instance?
It bakes pie you can be proud of, not once in a while, but every time. Crusts are light, fluffy, and well-browned and never scorched. And it comes clean almost instantly without scrubbing.
Well, you've sold me, Tony.
Yes, this big 9-inch Fire King oven glass pie plate with a 2-year guarantee against oven breakage is being featured tomorrow and Saturday at 5 and 10-cent stores and all stores that sell household glass at a special bargain price of only 25 cents, slightly more in distant cities. Look for the Fire King label. Ask for it by name. Not just an oven glass pie plate, but a Fire King oven glass pie plate. A product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Give me a cup of black coffee, Ethelbert.
Okay, Casey. You want one, Miss Williams?
No, thanks, Ethelbert.
Casey, you look like you got troubles.
I'll say he has, Ethelbert. In a neat red-headed package, trimmed with short skirts and a pair of bobby socks, a hero worship complex, and a very unbashful personality.
It isn't funny, Ann.
You're talking about a woman, huh?
Oh, not a woman, no. A goofy 17-year-old kid that ought to be spanked. Wish I had the nerve to do it.
She's developed a crush on Casey. Phones him at the office several times a day and waits for him on the street so she can gaze at him and sigh.
Casey, how did you get yourself into anything like that? You ain't no cradle snatcher.
Ethelbert, all I did was to call on her one afternoon last week in order to try and square something for somebody else.
She isn't the girl that Cliffside kid set off the firecrackers on account of.
That's who. Huh? But Cliffside doesn't know yet that Casey squared things so beautifully.
Will you get it, Walter?
Yeah, I put off telling him that she won't listen to anything that I say in his favor because, well, he's miserable enough as it is. You know, he phones me a couple of times a day, too, Ethelbert, to ask how I'm making out with her. I can't stall him much longer. Oh, I must have been nuts to get myself mixed up in something like this.
Telephone for you, Mr. Casey.
Why? Who is it?
Mr. Cliffside, sir.
I thought I was about due for my nightly call from him. He's probably been trying to get me at the office.
Well, since you can't help him, you better stop stalling and tell him the truth, Casey.
Oh, I can't, Annie. Excuse me.
You know, Miss Williams, Casey sure has a talent for getting himself into situations that ain't too easy to get out.
Hello?
Casey?
Yeah, Jack. How are you, fella?
Casey, I've just learned the truth.
Huh?
About you and Myrna.
What do you mean?
I met her on the street a while ago. She told me nothing could ever be fixed up between her and me, and that she was in love with you.
Now, listen,
I
kid.
guess swell stunt you pulled. Kidding me into thinking you were my friend and then double-crossing me.
Listen to me.
I've listened to you long enough. I called up now to let you know that what you've done is the last straw. When I leave this phone, I'm going to the river.
The river?
I don't want to live any longer, Casey. I'm going to end it all.
You young dope, where are you?
Never mind where I am.
Jack, I've got to meet you. I've got to talk to you.
You or no one else is ever going to talk to me again. I won't be in your way after tonight, Casey. You can have Myrna.
I don't want Myrna. Jack!
Goodbye, Casey.
Jack! Hey, kid! Hey! Operator!
This is the operator.
Look, what was the number that just called here?
You've been disconnected, sir.
I know that. Oh, never mind. Annie.
Yes, Casey?
Annie, that darn fool kid says he's going to throw himself in the river.
What?
The way he sounded, I don't think he's bluffing. We got to stop him, Annie.
You know where he is?
No. But there's only one place that kid had picked for a suicide, the cliff at Rocky Point.
You mean the place they call Lover's Leap?
Yes.
Oh, but Casey, that's way
I
out
know
on the
how far it is, Annie. But he wasn't calling from around there because there isn't a public telephone within a mile of the place. You'll have to reach it by bus, but we've got a car. Look, Annie, I may need you to convince him that I'm not trying to steal his Myrna. Come on.
Casey, if that crazy kid has picked another spot on the river to throw himself in...
I'm not afraid of that, Annie. What I'm afraid of is we may not get there in time. If he does jump, Ann, I'll be responsible.
Now, don't talk like that.
It's such a mess of it.
No, you have not. It was that little fool of a girl who did that. Oh, I'd like to wring her neck.
There's no use blaming her.
No.
As far as we'd better go with the car. I'll run it off the road among the trees here and turn off the lights. If he saw it, he'd suspect I was after him. Maybe he'd get away. Because if he hasn't got near ahead of us
Well, now
and already...
stop thinking like that, Casey.
If get out of the car and come on, Annie.
All right.
We'll go out to the cliff through these trees. Moon's pretty bright. We'll be seen on the road.
This is a horrible, desolate place.
Yeah. Annie, we can see the edge of the cliff from here. And there's no one on it.
Well, that means he hasn't gotten here yet.
May mean he has gotten
Now, will
here.
you stop imagining things? Hey, Casey, someone's coming through the trees on the other side of the road down there.
Well, I see.
Someone tall and lanky.
It's a kid. He's going toward the edge.
Yeah, he sees you. He's running, too, for the edge.
Hey, wait, kid, wait! I gotta talk to you.
No one's ever going to talk to me again.
Jack, you've got to let me talk.
Run, Casey! He's almost at the edge.
Hey, stop!
You can't reach him in time. Oh, he stumbled. Grab him before he gets up.
I got it. Let me go over here.
He hadn't stumbled. He's only a few feet away from the ledge.
Young fella, for the scare you've given us, I ought to knock your teeth out.
Why don't you stop me? What do you care what happens to me?
He shouldn't care. Can't you realize that Casey's only interested in Myrna because, well, he was trying to help you? And let this sink in. If I weren't sure that he couldn't have any romantic notions about a child like your Myrna, I wouldn't be here with him.
You mean that you're Casey's real girlfriend, Miss Williams?
Oh, well, use your own judgment, if you have any.
I should have figured that. I'm sorry, Casey.
Well, okay, kid. Now, we're taking you back to town. We'll cut through these woods to the car.
All right. I can't stop you from taking me back, but I still don't want to live, Casey. While I was wrong about you, I wasn't wrong about having lost Myrna. She told me herself tonight that she hated me.
Jack, there are millions of girls in the world. Must you have just one particular one?
I don't want anybody else. Ever.
Brother, you're a true monogamist. Hey, car's turned into the road. Wait a minute. Wonder if the driver knows it's a dead end at the edge of the cliff. Yeah, guess he's seen where he was heading. He stopped. Say, wait. Let's see who this is.
Hey, Casey, that man getting out.
Holding his hands above his head.
Yeah.
Guy getting out behind him has a gun.
Man, that guy with a gun is Blackie Owen.
The racketeer?
Yes.
Don't, Blackie. Give me a chance. Don't.
Oh, he shot him.
Casey, be quiet, both of you. Keep back of these trees, out of sight.
Okay.
Blackie Owens is a dead shot, and none of us has a gun. If he knew we'd seen what we have seen, our lives wouldn't be worth a nickel.
He's getting back in the car.
He's driving away.
Wait. Don't move from here till he turns off this branch road. Okay. Now let's go over and look at the body. Annie, Blackie Owens is one of the dirtiest gang leaders in this town. The cops have never been able to nail him. What we've just seen will send him to the chair and give us a front-page exclusive. Jack, I could kiss you. We wouldn't have been here if it hadn't been for you.
Casey, how can you think of front pages when you've just seen a guy murdered?
Get used to things like murder in the newspaper racket. Well, there he is.
Well, do you recognize him, Casey?
I certainly do. And that gives me a good reason not to be too unhappy about this shooting. The guy who just had his last ride was Twist Yaco.
But he was Blackie Owen's chief gunman.
That's right, Annie. Blackie gave it to him right between the eyes.
He's dead.
That's a last year's daisy.
Never seen a dead guy before. It's awful.
Yeah. Remember that the next time you think of bumping yourself off, kid. Now, come on to the car. Let me get a camera and shoot some pictures of this.
There'll be no...
What? Casey.
Hello, Blackie.
Stick up your hands. All of you.
Okay.
I wouldn't have come back if I hadn't seen your car parked off the road after I turned the bend. It gave me the idea that there might have been witnesses to what occurred here a few minutes ago. And I don't want witnesses.
He's going to kill us.
Take it easy, Jack.
The young man, unfortunately for all of you, is right. You see, I prepared a very good alibi for this evening that your testimony would kind of spoil. I'll give you all your choice. Where would you like it? Between the eyes, like Yakko? Through the heart or in the stomach? You know, I pride myself that I never miss.
If it's all the same to you, Blackie, I'd prefer not to be shot. Yeah, you should have known better than to stand so close to a guy you meant to plug.
You got his gun, Casey. You got his gun.
Yes, I have. Now, Blackie, we'll go to my car and get a camera and take some nice pictures of you. Now, be good. Stick your hands in the air and get going.
Okay, but don't you want this...
What are you picking up there?
Can't you see? Pair of gloves. The lady dropped them when she stuck up her hands a minute ago. No use leaving them on the road. Yeah, miss.
Oh, yeah, they are my gloves. Hey, Casey!
He's grabbed
Let
her.
her
Go! Drop that gun you took from me, Casey. When you try to shoot it, you'll have to shoot through this dame first.
He's holding her in front of him.
Go, let me go!
I always carry two gats, and you gave me a chance to get the second one, sap. Now drop that rod or I shoot this dame. Go on. Drop it.
You win, Blackie.
I thought I would. Now get over there with your friends, lady. I want to see you all in line like clay pipes in a shooting gallery. You're going to be first, kid.
Me?
Yeah. And you get it in the belly.
Jack killed him.
Yeah, that's right. Guess I'll save you to the last, Casey. Lady, you're next. I'm going to make this shot precise. Right between the eyes.
Those shots! Blackie's fallen. I shot him, Casey. I got him, Miss Williams. Jack, you shot him. The bullet he shot at me hit the steel of the corset I wear for my back. I glanced off. But I pretended I was dead, and I fell close to the gun he made you drop, Casey. I've never shot anyone before.
Boy, I'm glad you shot somebody this time, kid.
I am a hero. I am a hero.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. Extra, extra, read all about it.
Great new discovery makes beer and ale easy to enjoy.
It's a new kind of bottle.
A different kind of bottle.
It requires no deposit.
No fussing with pennies.
You don't have to return it.
No bother with empty.
Just pour out the beer
and throw the bottle away.
It's light as a feather.
No arm-weary lugging.
It's sturdy and compact.
Saves space in the icebox.
It's easy to open.
And safe to drink from.
It belongs on the table.
It's at home on a picnic.
And, brother, what flavor?
That true brewery flavor.
Protected by glass.
As only glass can protect it.
Yes, the revolutionary new Anchor Glass one-way, no-deposit bottle is sweeping America. For flavor that's brewery bright, demand beer in bottles. For safety and convenience, demand your favorite brand in the new Anchor Glass one-way, no-deposit bottle. Product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Say, Casey, didn't you and Miss Williams kind of overdo that stuff about Wellington Cliffside in this morning's paper? No guy's ever been that much of a nature's noble man.
Boy, you'd have thought he was if you'd been there, Ethelbert.
I'm standing in our exact spot.
Well, maybe you're right. How did it go down with his girlfriend, who wanted to be Casey's girlfriend? Huh?
Swell. She was barely civil to me when I saw her today with Jack. I understand they're engaged, too.
Well, as my sister Edna says, quote, the only thing wrong with the younger generation is that it grows older.
Unquote.
What does that mean?
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King oven glass, Anchor glass containers, Anchor caps and closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Photographer is directed by John Dietz. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. The part of Jack Cliffside was played by Jack Grimes, and Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, so stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
You know, Ethelbert, you and I have a good chance to be famous.
How's that, Casey?
Well, I figure if a man's known by the company he keeps,
Yeah?
then he ought to be known by the company that keeps him.
That makes sense.
And the company that keeps us is...
Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, Photo of the Dead. 9 o'clock in the evening, the big, untidy photographer's room of the Morning Express. The door opens, and Ann Williams.
Gosh, it's hot, Casey. Let's go over to the Blue Note.
Oh, Annie, I'd like to get out of this joint for a while, but Dad Phelan phoned about half an hour ago and said he wanted to see me. He's making a special trip down here.
Dad Phelan?
Sure, you met him. He runs a little stationery and cigar store
Oh,
uptown.
yes, of course. He lost his wife last year.
That's
We went
right.
to her funeral.
Yeah, Aunt Maggie, her name was.
Well, what does he want to see you about?
Well, he said he wanted my advice about something. What? He didn't say. Well, there he is now. Hi, Dad.
Oh, Casey, my boy.
Hey, it's good to see you.
It's always good to see you.
You remember Annie Williams, don't
Oh,
you?
of course. How are you, Miss Williams?
Just fine, Mr. Phelan.
Now, sit down, Dad.
Thanks. I've got something to tell you, boy.
Oh, what's on your mind?
Casey, I've heard from Maggie.
Huh?
She's come back to me from the dead.
Oh, Mr. Phelan.
I've heard her voice, and she sent me her picture from the other world.
Her picture?
Boy, you know that after Maggie died, well, we'd been together for nearly 50 years, and I didn't know what to do with myself.
I know.
So I started to read books that told how the dead sometimes are able to communicate with the living.
Books on psychic phenomena?
Yes, Miss Williams. There's a bookshop on 12th Street, Jameson's, that has a lot of those books.
Yeah, I passed it.
Yeah, very nice lady runs it. I went in there a lot. We got acquainted, and one day she told me about a man. Man with remarkable powers.
So you went to it.
Yeah. And last Thursday night, a week ago, boy, Maggie spoke to me while I was there.
What did this man charge you?
He wouldn't take a penny.
Huh?
Here, Casey. Look at this picture. You see what had happened? Above my right shoulder.
Oh, there's a ghostly face of a woman, Casey.
Yeah.
And it's Maggie's face. You recognize it, boy.
Yes.
Casey, this picture couldn't have been made by a trick, could it? Maggie was really with me last night, wasn't she?
Yes, sure she was with you, Dad.
The photo's not a fake? You know.
No, it's not a fake.
So glad to hear you say that.
Casey.
Now, hold it, Annie. Say, Dad, what's the name of this man who took this shot?
Well, it's kind of a funny name. Feda Narsi. He's an East Indian fella.
He's one of those swamis, huh?
He's a fine man.
Oh, I'm sure of that. Where does he live?
Well, he has a big house on Rankin Avenue, 142. Why?
I just wondered. Oh, excuse me, Dad.
Yeah.
Hello, Casey speaking. Yeah. Okay, Burke, I'll be right up. That was City Desk calling, Dad. I'm sorry. I've got to rush upstairs.
Go right ahead, boy. I'll be going. Anyway, you've told me what I wanted to know, and you've made me very happy.
Well, I'm very glad.
Good night, Miss Williams.
Good night, Mr. Phelan.
Good night to you, boy. And a million thanks.
Good night, Dad.
Casey, that photograph can't be on the level.
Of course it isn't. It's a crude double exposure. That ghost face was taken from an old picture of Aunt Maggie that this Fada Narcy fella got hold of somewhere.
Well, why didn't you tell the old man that?
Oh, Annie, how could I? Dad wants to believe that this thing's on the level. He's happy tonight for the first time since his wife died. But, Annie, after I finish whatever assignment Burke has for me upstairs, I'm going to pay an unsocial call on Swami Fada Narcy.
Oh, hey, Burke, what do you mean? You're sending me out of town tonight?
That's what I said, Casey. I just had our Detroit correspondent on the phone. He tells me a honey of a murder broke out there. You may be gone 2 weeks, maybe a month.
And I'm not going?
Casey's on this job alone, Williams. You stay here. Now take this to the cashier and get your expense money, Casey. Your train leaves in 45 minutes.
Burke, I ought to see a guy tonight. Here.
You can't. Get going, Casey. I want pictures from Detroit tomorrow.
Okay. Well, Dad Phelan's been looking after himself for over 70 years. I guess he can do it without my help a few weeks longer.
Hello.
Miss Williams?
Yes.
This is long distance. I have your call through to
Oh,
Detroit.
thank you.
Go ahead, please.
Hello?
Hello, Casey.
Annie, gee, it's great to hear your voice. Anyway, what's up?
Look, something's happened that we think you ought to know about.
What?
I'm at police headquarters with Captain Logan. A few hours ago, your friend, Dad Phelan, was found dead.
Dad Phelan?
Yes, Casey. And Captain Logan thinks that Swami Fada Narcy was responsible for his death.
Come on, Logan, let's have the dope on it.
Al Phelan didn't open his store this morning, Casey. A cop on the beat got worried, broke in, and found your friend dead in the back room.
He just died in his sleep, huh?
Yeah. I talked to Miss Williams after she phoned you, Casey, and we pieced the thing together. Beside the old man's body was that spirit photograph of him and his wife. And in his pocket, we found a bank book that had apparently represented his life savings. Balance was only $21, but until 4 days after Miss Williams says he called on you with the express, the balance had been $6,021.
The fake Swami got the $6,000.
Yeah. The shock of losing his life savings and learning that the Swami was a fake was too much for him.
The Swami gave him the usual routine.
Yeah, racketeers of his type are all alike. After the victim is convinced he's in contact with the dead, he gets a spook message telling him to hand over some money, usually for an investment the ghost recommends. The dough was passed over in cash, and we cops can't do a thing.
Logan, that Swami killed that old man just as surely as though he'd stuck a gun at his head and pulled the trigger.
I know it, but he's not a murderer in the eyes of the law. We can't even prove him a thief.
You question him?
Naturally. He denied everything.
Well, Logan, I'll talk to Swami Fada Narcy.
It won't get you anywhere.
Well, I'll see you later.
Now, what are you going to do?
Well, from what you say, there's only one thing I can do. Beat that guy to a pulp.
Good afternoon.
Are you Fada Narcy?
No, sir.
Oh, just a servant, eh?
Yes,
Well, I want to see your boss.
What is your name?
Casey.
You have appointment with the master?
No.
Fada Narcy received no visitor except by appointment.
Well, he received me, big guy. Get out of my way.
Wait. Nobody pass Lukey.
Lukey.
Yes, master.
I will see the gentleman for a moment. What is it you wish, Mr. Casey?
So, you...
I am Fada Narcy. What do you wish?
Hasn't your crystal ball told you?
As the police have made some baseless insinuations that cannot be proven, I imagine you are about to do something equally foolish.
Yeah. I'm going to knock that grin off your face and your teeth along with it.
Yes, sir.
Take your hands off of me. Let me go, will you?
Lukey, my devoted servant is a Senegalese.
They are noted for their skill in fighting. Lukey, teach Mr. Casey that it will be very unwise for him to trouble us again.
It will be a pleasure, sir.
Splendid, Lukey. Now pick Mr. Casey up from where he's fallen and throw him out the door.
Our story will continue in just a moment. Here's a bargain, a real bargain. A big 9.5-inch pie plate made of beautiful Fire King oven glass, guaranteed for 2 years against oven breakage. Its highly polished surface is as smooth as a mirror, comes clean almost instantly. It's as attractive on your table as it is sturdy and practical in your kitchen. And here's the most important point of all. This new kind of Fire King pie plate practically assures results every time. Its pale blue glass absorbs oven heat so evenly that your pies bake all the way through. The crust is light and flaky with no danger of scorching. Now, to get this new pie plate, it's not necessary to sit down and write a letter. Simply go to your favorite 5 and 10 cent store or any other store selling household glass and ask for the special Fire King oven glass pie plate being offered over the air at 25 cents, or slightly more in distant cities. Remember the name, Fire King oven glass. This new Fire King oven glass pie plate is a product of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass.
You're certainly a pretty picture, Casey. 2 black eyes, a lump on your jaw.
You don't have to give me a bruise-by-bruise description of how I look, Ethelbert. I know how I
Ethelbert,
look.
that big Senegalese prize fighter might have killed him.
Oh.
I know how you feel, pal, but you've gone at this thing all wrong. Rough stuff will get you nowhere.
That's great. You got any suggestions?
No. Captain Logan says there's nothing he can do, huh?
What can the cops do unless they can prove that Nazi got Mr. Phelan's money and got it under false pretense?
Must be some way to get evidence.
Why doesn't Logan detail one of his dicks to pose as a sucker and pass this Nazi a couple of marked bills?
Well, that's been tried several times, but Nazi's too wise. Casey, I might be able to get the goods on Fata Narzi.
But you?
Yeah. No one would ever take me for a cop. I could go to Nazi and tell him I'd lost a sister, for instance, and I'd let him believe that I had some money, and he'd work his racket on me, and then I'd pass him marked bills, and we'd have him.
Sure, it'd be a cinch, Casey.
Oh, yeah. It'd be a complete bust.
Oh,
That's
now
what it'd
why?
be. Do you think anybody gets into Narzi's joint unless he knows who they are and all about them, Annie? You see, it's part of his racket to have the lowdown on people who come to him.
Oh, you mean he'd look me up and find out I'm Ann Williams, who works for the Morning Express?
Yeah, he sure would. Say, wait a minute. I've got an idea.
What?
Burke was telling me some of his recent family history a few days before I went to Detroit. He can give us the gimmick we need behind this thing.
Burke?
Your city editor?
Yeah. Boy, and will he do it when he sees it as the build-up for an exclusive feature story. Annie, come on. We're talking to Burke right now.
You're right, Casey. It's a natural. Williams, you'll check into an uptown hotel here tomorrow night as Marilyn Phillips of Portland, Oregon.
Which is the real name and home address of your wife's first cousin, right?
Yes, as Casey remembered my telling him, Marilyn lost her mother several months ago.
Where's Miss Phillips now, though, Bert?
Traveling in Mexico, so that'll be all right. She's about your size and coloring, Williams. I'll have my wife tell you enough about Marilyn Phillips tonight so that you can borrow her identity without any chance of a slip-up. When this Fata Narzi checks her, he'll think you're the real McCoy.
Well, how will I get to Nazi? I can't just walk up to his front
You
door.
get to him the same way Dad Phelan did. You go to Jameson's occult bookshop and become a steady customer. The old dame who runs the place is probably a shill for Nazi.
Oh, I get it. I pose as a grief-stricken daughter with money, and let her and Tim do the rest.
That's the play. After you check into the hotel as Marilyn Phillips, you're not to come near this office, near your apartment, or with anyone you know, till this job's finished.
Wait a minute now, Burke. You mean...
I mean especially that she can't go anywhere near you, Casey. That'd give the whole show away.
Oh. I didn't think of that.
I'll see that you receive plenty of expense money, Williams. You'll report to me by phone. That's all.
She can talk to me by phone, too.
Well, what does she want to talk to you for?
Yes. Why should I?
Well, thought I might be able to help or something.
Burke will attend to everything.
Sure, Casey. I'll attend to everything.
Oh, that's just swell.
City desk, Burke speaking.
It's me, Burke. I'm getting acquainted with Mrs. Jameson, but she hasn't suggested I see our man yet.
You've only been on the job 10 days. This will take time. Stick with it.
Casey, what on earth has happened to Miss Williams? It's almost 3 weeks since I seen her in here. And
Miss Williams is away, Ethelbert. And who cares?
Hey, you don't have to bite my head off.
You've been coming in here for over a month now, Miss Phillips. I feel that I know you well enough to offer a suggestion that may soften your great sorrow.
Well, the only thing that can help me, Mrs. Jameson, is if I could see my mother again, or...
Well, perhaps you can. I know a remarkable man, Miss Phillips. A man of almost miraculous powers. His name is Theda Narcy.
Sit down, Miss Phillips.
Thank you.
I see things in the crystal ball. I see a lady there whom you loved very dearly.
My mother?
Yes. Her name was Alice.
The woman who sent me here must have told you that.
Be not hasty in your judgment, Miss Phillips. You were born October 4th, 1922. Your home was 47 Vista Road, Portland, Oregon. Your middle name is Celestine. Your mother's maiden name was McClintock. She's very close to you now, Miss Phillips. Very close.
Can you make me see her, Swami? Or hear her voice?
Later, perhaps. Come to me on Thursday next. In the meantime, I will pray that the one you love beyond the veil will speak to you and give you comfort. Go now. I'm very weary.
Yes, Swami. How much do I owe you?
Owe me? Oh, my dear child, I make no charge for my services, ever. My mission in life is to serve mankind.
Oh, he merely gave you the old build-up today.
Yes, Burke. Of course, someone in Portland sent him the information about Marilyn Phillips and her mother.
Sure, Budge and his racket have contacts all over. Call me again after you see him Thursday. Goodbye.
Wait a minute, Burke.
Huh?
How's Casey?
In very bad humor. Goodbye.
Sit very still, Miss Phillips. The psychic force is strong in me tonight. I feel the spirit presence of one who has passed beyond.
You, think, Swami, that my mother...
I cannot tell. I am sinking into trance. Hold my hands tightly. Look closely at the crystal, and soon you may hear the voice of the dead.
It's so dark in here.
Trance. I'm sinking into...
Swami, what? That knocking. Something's knocking on the table, Swami, and it isn't you. Oh, that music. Where's it coming from? I'm afraid, Swami. I'm afraid.
Have no fear, my daughter.
That voice.
It is your mother's, darling.
Mother?
I'm with you, Marilyn, here. This good man has helped me make the journey from the land beyond to bring you comfort.
can't see you, Mother.
I have more to tell you, my dear. Now the force is growing weak. Trust this good man. Trust Fade and Narcy, and I will come to you again through him. Come again, and I will have more to tell you.
Oh.
Swami Nazi. Swami Nazi.
What? Was it a success, Miss Phillips?
Oh, you don't know what happened?
I was in trance. I never know.
My mother talked to me. She said that she had more to tell me.
We shall assist her then. Come to me next Wednesday. Hold my hands tightly, Miss Phillips.
Yes, Swami.
I am sinking into trance. Sinking into...
Those knocks. And that music again. Mother.
Yes, my darling.
Come closer and let me really see you.
That is beyond my power, dear. I have but little time. I'm so worried about you, my child.
Worried about me?
I left you so little money when I passed behind the veil. You must have more, much more, and you shall have it. I will point the way. Tomorrow, take your money from the bank.
Take my money from the bank?
Give it to this good man, Fade and Narcy. He will invest it for you. Invest it so it will be doubled, tripled in amount. When that is done, your mother will be happy.
You will tell Fade and Narcy how to invest my money, Mother?
I shall guide his every action. And I know all things, dear. Through him, I will make you rich. Promise, darling.
Yes, Mother, yes. I'll bring Swami Nazi the money tomorrow.
You made me very happy. I must leave you now, darling. I must go.
Oh, then the ghost voice faded out, huh?
Yes, Bert. And when Nazi snapped out of his trance, I told him I'd bring him $10,000 that Mother left me at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
I'll send you the money by messenger. Call me when you get it, and we'll check on the final plan.
Okay, Bert.
Goodbye. Well, Casey, tomorrow night will be the payout.
Yeah?
Cops will be posted around the house before Williams goes in. When she comes out, the cops will take it as a signal, close in. Get the Swami with those marked bills in his possession, and that's that.
There's also going to be a witness when that money is passed.
Who?
Me.
Why, you're the last guy in the world who could get into that house.
I've been casing that joint, Burke. There's a big window in Narcy's chamber with a strong trellis leading up to it. The window is painted black inside, but if Anne can get it open just a few inches...
You can see and hear what's going on.
And I can take a picture of Anne giving that rat the dough. I'll use an infrared bulb that shows no glare.
It'll make a swell shot for the paper.
And for evidence in court, will you tell Anne to get that window open?
I certainly will. Leave it to Williams. She'll get it open somehow.
I've brought the money, Swami.
Oh, yes, the money.
You'll return it to me, and much more besides, as Mother said.
Miss Phillips, through spirit guidance, I have made many fortunes for other people. I am not interested in money myself.
Oh, there's $10,000 here. All I have.
Well, I will accept and invest it as a sacred trust.
Here.
Thank you. What was that?
I didn't hear anything.
We'll see. This window. So, Mr. Casey.
Hello, Narcy.
Step off that trellis and into this room with your camera. As you see, I have a gun.
Yes, I see.
Now close the window.
Okay.
I am always alert for frame-ups.
Yes, the guy in your racket has to be.
You will give me the film you just exposed?
What good will it do you? I saw you take the dough.
Your testimony and that of Miss Phillips will be utterly valueless if the money cannot be found in my possession. It's quite obvious that I have been given marked bills, but they're easily destroyed.
Casey, if he destroys the papers $10,000, I'll have to pay it back. I'll be in debt the rest of my life.
He won't destroy it.
Don't move, Mr. Casey. I shoot. Now take the film from your camera and toss it into the copper bowl on this table.
Okay.
I place your marked money in the bowl with it. Now strike a match, Mr. Casey, and burn them.
That gun makes you the boss.
Oh, Casey, when we tell Burke you burned the papers and
It
money...
is very probable that you will not be believed. There will be a large suspicion that you kept it for yourself.
That doesn't bother me so much as the idea that you might beat this rat, Nazi.
I shall beat it. Now strike a match and burn that evidence.
Okay. Money and the film in this bowl beside your crystal ball. Right at you, Nazi.
Knock the gun out of his hand.
Get it, Annie, quick.
Looky.
That big prize fighter.
Come here, Looky, help.
That's the guy I want to see again.
Take this gun. You'll need it.
No, I won't.
Looky.
I'm here, Master. You weren't expecting that crystal ball in your face, were you? Now, that'll hold you. Now, Swami Nazi, would you like to gaze into your crystal ball? Or can you guess what's going to happen?
Don't hit me. Don't hit me.
This is for Dad Phelan. Things for Annie. This one's for me. And now, Annie, you can bring in the cops.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. No wonder the new Anchor Glass one-way, no-deposit bottle is sweeping America. Think of all the extras it brings you at no extra cost. Extra number 1.
It requires no deposit, no bother with pennies.
Extra number 2.
You don't have to return it. No trouble with empties.
Extra number 3.
It's light as a feather, easy to carry, unnatural for picnics.
Extra number 4.
It's sturdy and compact. Saves space in the icebox.
Extra number 5.
It's easy to open, safe to drink from.
Extra number 6.
It's at home on any table.
Extra number 7.
And, brother, what flavor, that true brewery flavor that only glass can bring you.
Yes, here's the bottle that makes beer and ale easy to enjoy. The Anchor Glass one-way, no-deposit bottle. For flavor that's brewery bright, demand beer in bottles. For safety and convenience, demand your favorite brand in the new Anchor Glass one-way, no-deposit bottle. Product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Cops got the whole gang of them, huh, Casey?
Yes, Ethelbert.
Including Mrs. Jameson, the dame who also impersonated Narzi's spook.
That's swell, Miss Williams. And it's swell to see you around here again. I've missed you since you've been away on that case.
Oh, thanks, Ethelbert.
Yeah, that's right. We've all... say, Annie, it's kind of a nice night. How about you and me taking a walk?
Why?
Well, just because it's kind of a nice night.
So long, Ethelbert.
So long, Ethelbert.
So long, so long. As my sister Edna says, quote, absence makes the brain grow dumber. And a walk on a nice night may be dangerous business for an unmarried bachelor. Unquote.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King oven glass. Anchor glass containers, Anchor caps and closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. is directed by John Dietz. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, so stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. The Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
Where'd you get the black eye, Ethelbert?
At a concert.
A concert? What were you doing?
I was just telling this fellow we have better music at the Blue Note Cafe.
And?
He turned out to be the conductor's brother.
Ooh, well, that'll teach you a lesson, Ethelbert. When you're with strangers, it's safer to talk about something everyone agrees on.
Like what, for instance?
Like Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, Bright New Star. Late afternoon, a Metropolitan Theater. Its auditorium is empty and its half-lighted stage is bare, except for several dozen folding chairs and a few rough tables that have been used for a rehearsal. In the center of the stage stands a smiling young woman surrounded by newspaper reporters and photographers. Among them, Anne Williams and Casey.
Tilt your head up just a little more, Miss Holliday. It'll give you a better neckline.
Make the smile a little wider, please.
I'll try, gentlemen.
That's it. Hold it.
There. Now sit down and cross your legs. Huh?
Yeah, we want a little cheesecake.
All right. Will this do?
Pull the skirt a little higher.
Like this?
That's swell.
Say, you photographers get out of the way and give us reporters a chance.
Danny, you can take over as far as I'm concerned. I've wasted enough good super pan press film on this publicity build-up.
Think, she's pretty, Casey?
Sure, but I think she'd double-cross her own mother in order to get what she wants.
She'll be getting what any woman would want when this play opens tomorrow night. Her name and lights and... Well, if she's half as good as the raid notices she got on the out-of-town tryout, she'll be the biggest smash we've had for a long time.
Yeah. Well, go on over and get your interview. I'll have a gab with Hartley Owens.
Oh, he's a nice old thing. I'm glad he's finally got what seems an assured success in this play.
Yeah, so am I. He must have been down to his last half a shoestring when he got his mitts on this comedy.
Well, I'll get over to this bright new star and hear her throbbing success story. Join you later.
Okay, Annie. Hello, Mr. Owens.
Hello, Casey. It's nice of all you newspaper boys and girls to come here today and give me this break.
You made sure we'd give you this break.
You mean the insurance story?
Uh-huh. It's a corny old publicity gag, Mr. Owens, but it always works. When we got the release about you insuring your new star for $250,000 and then verified the truth of it, well, it made good copy.
Well, the $250,000 life insurance policy I took out on Sandra Holliday wasn't merely a bid for publicity, Casey.
Huh?
That little girl over there in my play, I've got an SRO hit that'll make me several million. Without her, I've got another turkey.
As good as all that, huh?
She's sensational.
Your press agent said you discovered her in a Chicago night spot, but he soft-pedaled beyond that. What's the dope on her?
Oh, strictly off the record, Casey.
She was entertaining in a pretty low dive when I found her. One of Murray Solano's places.
Uh-oh. I knew Solano when he was running a clip joint in this town. It was a honey.
So is Solano. I'm very much afraid.
Afraid of what?
Of complications.
Oh?
Solano's crazy about this girl. He wants to marry her.
Ooh. Well, if she does, the publicity will wreck both her and your show. You know, among other assorted crimes and misdemeanors, that guy is strongly suspected of a couple of murders.
Well, she won't marry him. As a matter of fact, Sandra's even more anxious to get rid of him than I am. But Solano has money, Casey. He was helpful to her before I took her out of his place. I think that she had encouraged him a little too much.
Now it's going to be hard to give him a brush off.
Very hard. He's followed her here. He even managed to get a suite at the Courtleigh Blenheim where she's stopping, and on the same floor. Sandra wishes to be completely free of him. She's temperamental and impulsive. If she doesn't handle the situation wisely, he might get nasty.
He will. Murray Solano was born nasty.
Hello, Horsey.
Oh, good afternoon, Bernice.
Our dear little Sandra seems to be having a most enjoyable session with the newspaper people.
Yes, indeed. Bernice, allow me to present Mr. Casey of the Morning Express. Casey, this is my other great star, Miss Rolfe.
Well, it's a great pleasure to meet you, Miss Rolfe. I've admired your acting a long time.
Thank you. You're a photographer, Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Then why aren't you taking pictures of Mr. Owen's sensational discovery?
Well, I've already taken some. I'd like to shoot several of you, Miss Rolfe.
That's diplomatic. of you,
Bernice,
but how...
my dear, you know.
Yes, Horsey. I know. Good day, Mr. Casey.
So long, Miss Rolfe. Her nose is out of joint, huh?
Oh, she's terribly jealous of Sandra. When this play went into rehearsal, Bernice was engaged for what then seemed to be the stellar role. But when the writers and my other associates in the production saw what we had in Sandra, her part was lengthened and developed, and Bernice's was cut. If I hadn't had her signed to an ironclad contract, she'd have walked out on me.
Must be pretty hard for her to take. Bernice Rolfe's an established star, and to have an unknown come in and take all the gravy.
Well, it made her rather poisonous, to say the least.
Yeah.
Bernice has rooms at the Courtleigh Blenheim, too, on the same floor as Sandra and Solano and me. I'm going to have a time preserving peace there as well as at the theater.
Isn't that Solano coming in?
Oh, yes.
I haven't seen him in a long time. He's put on a lot of weight.
Hello?
Well, Casey. Long time no see.
Yes, long time, Solano.
Been shooting pictures of Sandra, huh? She is something, ain't she?
A bombshell, from what I'm told.
A guy with eyes shouldn't have to be told. After my first look at her, Casey, I knew she had everything.
You've known her for some time?
Not long enough. The only I figured it'd make Sandra feel good if I threw a party on her tonight. You know, give her a big send-off with flowers and champagne, wish her success. So I've made arrangements at the Silver Flower.
No, Mr. Solano. I told you there'd be no parties tonight. Tomorrow night's our opening, and Sandra must have complete rest until then.
Not with that rest stuff. That kid likes excitement, hey, Sandra?
Yes?
I want to talk to you a minute.
I'm terribly busy.
Excuse me, Casey. I've got to make sure she doesn't...
Yeah, I'll go with you, Mr. Owen.
Ditch those newspaper characters for a minute and get an earful of what I've cooked up. I'm throwing a big party for you tonight, kid.
Mr. Owens doesn't want me to go out this evening.
Go on. Now, here's what we're going to do, babe.
How dare you call me babe?
Huh?
Mr. Solano, you neither know me long enough nor well enough to call me babe.
Thought this was an act, kid.
It is not an act. I want you to leave me alone.
I thought your head has been getting bigger and your hat a little higher.
Mr. Owens, please have this man put out of the theater.
Sandra.
Put me out, huh?
Isn't it plain enough that I don't want to see you anymore?
Yeah. It is now. Come on, babe. Thanks for finally giving it to me straight, just how I stand.
Sandra, you shouldn't have done that. Not the way you did.
I told you I was fed up with him, Mr. Owens. And you wanted him out of the way.
Solano's dangerous.
I'm not afraid of him. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry this unpleasant scene had to occur before you. Now, as I was telling you reporters, I was brought up in an exclusive section of Pittsburgh. My father worked in a bank.
Probably a gravel bank.
Casey, what do you suppose the lowdown is on that Solano person?
I'll tell you when we get out of here, Annie. Come on, let's go.
Okay.
So long, Mr. Owens.
Casey.
Yeah?
Will you excuse us a moment, Miss Williams?
Certainly.
Casey, you're an old friend, so I know everything I've told you will be off the record. This opening tomorrow night, the success of my new star, means everything to me. The wrong sort of publicity at this time.
Yes, I understand. Well, don't worry. Nothing to hurt your show. We'll get into the Express, and the people here from other papers are young in the racket. They don't know Solano.
Thanks. You think you might try to harm Sandra?
It was pretty rough, the way she gave him the gate. Solano's going to be plenty burnt. Look, why don't you play safe and get her a bodyguard?
I shall. That'll be good publicity.
Yeah. You would think of that, Hank.
Second nature, my boy. But seriously, until I secure guards for the job, I'll keep very close watch over her myself.
Well, that'll be easy since you're stopping at the same hotel. Well, so long, Mr. Owens.
And so long, Casey.
I'm sorry, Mr. Owens. Miss Sandra Holliday doesn't answer her telephone.
Well, I'm sure she's in her suite, operator, probably sleeping soundly. She has a breakfast appointment with me this morning, and I promised to wake her with a call, so please try again.
Very well, Mr. Owens.
Don't waste time knocking at that door, man. Open it.
If I use my pass key on Miss Holliday's door, you must take the responsibility, Mr. Owens. Ladies don't usually like it when house detectives barge in.
I'll take all responsibility. I tell you, I've been trying to rouse her by phone for almost half an hour.
Don't be worried, sir. She may have gone out.
I told her not to go out. Open that door.
Here you are, sir. But nothing ever happens to people in this hotel. Merciful Lord. Her head's all bashed in. She's dead.
Dead before she could open tonight. I've lost at least $1 million.
You can think of money at a time like this?
Yes. And of paying off the man I think has robbed me of it. He's in this hotel, on this floor, if he hasn't run away. Call the police and then arrest Murray Solano.
Our story will continue in just a moment. Want to make your folks' mouths water with a surefire dessert? Then let it be homemade pie. And set it on the table in a gleaming anchor-hocking oven glass pie plate. Its fluffy, light brown crust will give a tempting hint of the goodness within. Peaches, berries, or creamy lemon meringue. And those delicious pies will be even better when baked in a Fire King oven glass pie plate, because they bake all the way through. And after the last delicious piece is tucked away, that beautiful Fire King oven glass plate washes clean in a jiffy. Now, right now, your favorite 5 and 10 cent store and all other stores selling household glass are featuring an unusual bargain. A big 9 1/2 inch Fire King oven glass pie plate at only 25 cents. Slightly more in distant cities. Be sure to get your Fire King oven glass pie plate now while the supply lasts. You'll enjoy it for years because, like all Fire King oven glass, it's guaranteed for 2 years against oven breakage. Ask for Fire King oven glass by name. Another product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
You and this house detective went to Solano's rooms right after you phoned me at headquarters, Mr. Owens?
Yes, Captain. Solano wasn't there.
The guy left in such a hurry, Captain Logan. He took nothing but the clothes he was wearing.
Which means that after he killed Sandra, he lost no time in making his getaway. Casey, have you told Captain Logan what happened at the theater yesterday?
Yes, on our way here, I happened to be in Logan's office when the murder report came in.
You, house detective, what's your name?
Bannon, sir.
Have you made any check on Solano's movements, Bannon?
Yes, Captain. He was last seen coming into the hotel about 12 o'clock last night. And no one remembers seeing him leave again after that.
I'll put my men checking on that. Well, until the medical examiner gets here and gives me the lowdown, I guess this woman's been dead about 8 hours. Since 2 o'clock this morning.
Yeah, that's my guess, too, Logan.
I'm glad to have your support, Casey.
Happy to give it to you, pal. And the murder instrument was obviously that heavy brass candlestick from which somebody has carefully removed all the fingerprints.
Well, a guy like Solano would remember to do that.
Yeah, but
Would Solano have used the candlestick?
Why not?
Ah. I can see him giving her the business with a gun or his fist or by choking her to death.
If he'd used a gun, the shot would have been heard.
Yes, I know that, but I don't know, the picture doesn't seem just right. How did he get in here between midnight and 2 in the morning?
Well, I think Sandra let him in herself, Casey, perhaps because I instructed her not to do so under any circumstances. You saw yesterday how headstrong she was, and she had no fear of Solano.
I thought you were going to get guards for her, Mr. Rhodes.
I did. Men from the Phoenix Detective Agency would be close to her every minute after this morning.
After this morning?
Well, Sandra had promised me she wouldn't leave her suite until she accompanied me to breakfast, Captain. I was foolish enough to think she'd be safe there. I'm a man who makes big mistakes. I've made nothing else during the last half-dozen years. Now, I've made my biggest and lost a fortune.
Your show has no chance without Miss Holliday, huh?
None whatsoever. Oh, if my stockholders insist, I'll put in another actress and give the thing a showing here, but they'll be wise if they let it drop and console themselves with the return of their investments from the insurance I took out on Sandra's life.
Oh, your stockholders share in that $250,000 policy.
Well, naturally. Picked them from all loss.
Who are your stockholders?
Why, that's a private business matter, Captain.
There can be no privacy where murder is concerned.
Yes, you're right. Well, you're probably aware, Captain, conservative businessmen rarely wish it known that they invest in anything as speculative as a theatrical venture. So I must ask you and Casey to treat the information you've requested as confidential.
Oh, certainly. Sure.
R.G. Whipple, the banker, is my chief backer. State Senator Pearson is the other.
Thanks. I have to ask a lot of personal questions in a case of this sort, Mr. Owen.
Well, I trust that I'm not under any suspicion. This investigation of my affairs will show you I had every reason to keep Sandra Holliday alive.
I believe that, Mr. Owen. But, Murray Solano may not have been the only person who would have liked to have seen her dead.
What? You think somebody else?
Bernice Rolfe wasn't exactly a friend of Miss Holliday. Jealous women could be as murderous as jilted men.
Oh, Casey, I'm sure that Bernice...
Hey, what's this about?
Well, Mr. Owens can give you the details better than I can, Logan. And after he gets through, I think there's an actress you want to talk to. An old star who didn't like being outshone by a new one.
Hey, Joe. Yeah? Colonel Bernstein wants another mint julep, and we're all out of mint.
I'll get some right away, Ethelbert.
Yeah, make him the julep when you do.
Okay.
Joe just lets things go behind this bar.
Joe does.
But sure, Miss Williams, I'm not supposed to do everything.
Everything.
Now, go on with what you were saying, Casey. Captain Logan didn't get anything out of Bernice Rolfe, huh?
No, nothing. Nothing except denials, pal. She had every opportunity last night to make a round trip from her rooms in that hotel to Miss Holliday's suite. As a member of the show, Holliday would naturally have let her come in.
But Miss Rolfe says she didn't go near Sandra Holliday's suite last night, and nobody saw her go near it.
Nobody saw Solano go near it either, Annie.
Nobody saw anybody go near it, did they?
Apparently not. Well, I think it's a waste of time to suspect anyone but Solano. The simple fact that he sneaked out of that hotel and he's hiding from the cops now is his proof of his guilt.
Annie, that's circumstantial evidence.
You don't believe Solano did the job, huh, Casey?
Well, Ethelbert, I'm trying to keep an open mind about it. The guy, of course, is a lousy racketeer. He's a suspected killer. But he's never shown the kind of a yellow streak that a guy must have before he beats a woman's brains out and from behind her back at that. Oh, I don't know. I'm probably all wrong. Logically, he's the guy, but... Well, I have a hunch.
Uh-oh.
One of them things again, huh?
Yeah.
Placing any bets on it? I got a couple of bucks in my pocket that ain't working.
Yeah, well, keep it there. My common sense tells me this hunch is wrong.
I'll take that $2 bet, Ethelbert.
Huh?
On Casey's hunch being right, Miss Williams?
On his common sense being wrong. I'll always bet on that.
Annie, what do you mean?
The bet's $2 his hunch is right because his common sense is wrong.
That's it.
It's deal. But remembering past experience, I think I've stuck my neck out for the losing end.
Oh, yeah?
Casey, as my sister Edna says, quote, people are like onions. They usually repeat. Pardon me. I mean, unquote.
My admiring friend.
How's Hartley Owens taking the whole thing, Casey? Everybody says he'd be riding high again if his show could have opened with that girl.
Well, he's taking it like any guy would who lost a potential $1 million or $2 million.
He'll collect on that big insurance policy, of course.
Only a small part of it, 20%. $50,000 is peanuts to what he would have made on the show with Sandra Holliday.
Who gets the other 80%?
His backers.
Who'll make plenty on their investment.
Say, maybe one of them backers figured insurance dough was more sure than that show being a hit.
No. Forget it. Logan checked the backers. They're both very rich, very law-abiding guys who wouldn't have and couldn't have killed Sandra Holliday.
How can you say that Big Jim Maxon is law-abiding? Why, he ain't even very rich.
Big Jim Maxon? What about him?
Who runs Maxon's Tavern?
I know.
You know, he's in the rackets, Casey.
Well, what's Big Jim Maxon got to do with it?
He's one of Hartley Owens' backers.
What?
Big Jim? Oh, you're nuts.
He told me he was. Said he bought 20% of the show for $10,000.
He told you?
Only a couple of nights ago. He asked me to keep it confidential, kind of that hard-boiled wife of his wouldn't approve. And he said that Heine Troutman, the gambler, had 20% too.
Casey, this may mean that...
Annie, sure. Look, come on. We're going to find Logan. Then call on Big Jim and Heine Troutman.
Why, Casey?
Well, when we have time to tell you, pal, I think it'll cost $2. $2.
$2?
Your bet to me, Ethelbert. Against Casey's Huns.
Sit down, gentlemen.
Oh, thanks, Mr. Owens. We won't be here very long.
Neither will you, Mr. Owens.
I, Casey?
Uh-huh. Nice suite of rooms he has, Logan. He's going to miss it.
I don't understand.
This afternoon, I called on the backers of your show, whose names you gave me, Mr. Whipple and Mr. Pearson.
I'm sure they confirmed everything I told you.
They did, 100%.
Yeah, but tonight we made other calls on Big Jim Maxon.
And Heine Troutman.
I don't know
for
sure.
Oh, yes, you do.
You sold 140% of your show, Owen. You expected the show to be a flop, which would mean no payoffs to anybody but yourself.
To make sure it would be a flop, you put an unknown entertainer into one of the big parts. But she made your turkey into a hit.
If she'd opened here in the big town, you'd have been called upon to pay out 40% more than the show could bring in. To 2 hard-boiled businessmen and 2 tough racketeers.
When you got the bright idea of insuring Miss Holliday's life, the business guys with their lawyers made you sign over an interest in the policy to the extent of the shares they bought, 80%. But in the deal you made with Maxon and Troutman, you merely had to return their invested dough, $20,000, if Miss Holliday's death made the insurance collectible.
So, to keep yourself from being sent to jail by the business guys or being rubbed out by the racketeers when they got wise that you'd sold them watered stock.
And to still make $30,000 out of your swindle, it had backfired.
You killed Sandra Holliday.
You may as well admit it, Owens.
Solano killed her. Solano did it.
You made it look that way.
Oh, he was to be your fall guy. Now, stick out your wrist, Owens. I've got a pair of bracelets for you.
Oh, no.
Look, give me that gun.
If either of you take a step, I'll shoot.
You think I came here to arrest a murderer without posting 10 men in the hall outside to cover us?
Nobody's going to get me. There's an extension roof only a floor below these windows. I'll jump and get away.
You're crazy.
Maybe I am crazy. So crazy I'm going to kill both of you.
He's going to shoot you. Wait. Oh, it's on the floor.
Well, who fired?
I shot the rat, Captain.
Solano.
Yeah, Casey. You're okay. This gat in my mitt won't do you and Captain Logan any damage.
Thanks.
Yeah, $1 million.
Funny. I never thought I'd save the life of a cop and a newspaper guy, but things don't always happen the way we figure.
We just found that out. Tell me, how did you get in this room?
That's funny, too. I was coming along the hall this morning when I heard Owens and that house dick talking in Sandra's suite. I heard him say she was dead. And Owens said I'd killed her. Knowing how I stand with cops and having no alibi, I did a quick duck through another open door into here.
You've been hiding out in Owens' suite.
You cops never bothered to look for me in the rooms of the guy who'd set you to hunting me. He didn't know I was here. Any more than I knew he was the rat who killed Sandra. Funny all around.
Funny. Wouldn't have been funny for Logan and me if you hadn't been here.
That maniac had the drop on us. We hadn't a chance.
Maniac, huh?
You heard him. He was crazy.
Owens is coming, too. You didn't kill him, Solano.
I'll get a doctor for him. First, give me your gun, Solano. Casey and I are thankful you had one and used it as you did.
I'm keeping this gun.
Huh?
Got a little job to do.
Solano.
The rat who turned my girl against me and then killed her isn't going to die of old age in an asylum.
Solano! Hey, that gun! Fool.
You can have the gat now, Captain.
You're under arrest, Solano. For murder.
Sure, Captain. Funny, ain't it? The way you finally pinned me for a rat in the hot seat.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. If you enjoy really good beer, the most important thing to look for, aside from the label, is the kind of container it comes in. Be sure it's a bottle, a glass bottle, for glass and only glass can bring you beer and ale the way it's meant to taste, with no foreign flavor. Now, today, you can buy beer and ale in a brand new kind of glass bottle, so light and compact, so inexpensive to brewers, that it requires no deposit. Yes, sir, never again will you have to worry about those extra pennies or about returning empties to the store. Simply enjoy your favorite beer or ale, and when the bottle is empty, throw it away. This amazing new one-way bottle is a natural for picnics that looks well on any table. For beer that's brewery bright, demand a glass bottle. And for convenience, demand your favorite brand in the Anchor Glass one-way, no-deposit bottle, a product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
It was funny, Casey, how Solano was finally got for murder.
Well, I'm not laughing about it, Ethelbert.
No, he saved Casey's life. And Logan.
Well, not only that, Solano's a bad guy. He's deserved a life sentence or the chair for a long time, but nuts, I don't know.
Say, Ethelbert, I just remembered. You owe me $2 on that bet.
Yeah, my hunch was right.
Terrible hot weather we've been having, ain't it?
My $2, Ethelbert.
Yeah, hope it's cooler tomorrow. What'd you say, Miss Williams?
You know, Ethelbert, a better always pays up promptly.
Yeah, when it's cooler, it'll be much better.
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cotsworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King Oven Glass, Anchor Glass Containers, Anchor Caps and Closures. All products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Deese. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. The part of Hartley Owens was played by Roger the Coven. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. Tomorrow, August 1st, is the 40th anniversary of the Army Air Forces. Anchor Hocking joins in saluting the men of this great organization and in reminding the nation they serve that air power is peace power. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town. So stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System. Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation brings you Crime Photographer.
30 days has September, April, June, and November. All the rest have 31, and this ain't leap year, thank heavens. Thursday the 7th. Casey!
What? Hey, don't scare me like that.
Casey, we're famous.
Famous?
We've been on the air just a year today for Anchor Hocking, and they're famous.
Right, Ethelbert. Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tony Marvin. Every week at this time, the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, and its more than 10,000 employees bring you another adventure of Casey, crime photographer, ace cameraman who covers the crime news of a great city. Written by Alonzo Dean Cole, our adventure for tonight, Death in Lover's Lane. A moonlight night, a lonely road, a parked car in which, close together, sit a man and woman. Ah, romance. And then, from the dense woods that line the road, the sharp snapping of a twig.
Bill.
Something's moving behind those trees.
A man.
I see.
He's coming this way.
What's your car doing here?
Is that any of your business, mister?
I think so. I'm a police detective.
Bill.
Quiet, Nora. What do you want, officer?
Stay where you are.
He's pointing a gun at us.
What's the big idea, fella? You're a cop. Let's see your badge.
This gets my badge. Both of you stick up your hands.
My hands are coming up, mister. With this.
You got him in the arm, Bill. Knocked the gun out of his hand. He's running.
All right, you phony. Now stop or I'll kill you. I'm a real cop, and this is your last warning. Okay.
He made the woods. He's getting away.
I'm going after him. Now blow your whistle, Nora, and signal the boys to close in. This guy is the Lover's Lane killer.
The man got away from you in those woods, officer?
Yeah, that's right, Miss Williams. But Nora Ryan, the policewoman who was working this trap with me, had a prowl car here in a few minutes, and they radioed the precinct station to have the woods surrounded. The guy can't possibly get away.
I wish I was sure of that, Dino. Our guys have been searching those woods for an hour now and haven't found him. You should have shot him down when he started to run.
Well, I'm sorry I didn't do a better job, Captain.
Logan, why do you pick on Bill Dano?
Why, Casey?
Yeah. He and that policewoman have been laying traps for this Lover's Lane murderer ever since he began killing people 3 or 4 months ago. Well, the guy walked right into one tonight, and Dano and Nora Ryan sprung it on him hard. They did the best they could. Killer's bottled up in these woods, wounded and without a gun. You're sure to find him when daylight comes.
If this killer gets away after we had him in our hands...
Do you think it's really the Lover's Lane murderer who came after Dano and Mrs. Ryan tonight?
Well, we can't be sure, Miss Williams. The only people who've seen the Lover's Lane murderer in action didn't live long enough to describe it. We found their bodies slumped in cars parked on lonely roads like this one. The dead bodies are 6 couples so far, with 32 slugs through their heads. And the guy who walked into one of our police traps tonight may have intended nothing more than a hold-up.
Well, the gun that Dano shot out of his hand was a .32.
There are a lot of 32 revolvers in illegal circulation, Miss Williams.
Ballistics hasn't had time to compare the gun he dropped with the murder slugs.
Of course not.
This guy does prove to be the Lover's Lane murderer. I will have had a bum hunch.
What do you mean?
I've had an idea the killer was a woman.
Hey, I've played around with the notion that a woman was behind these things myself.
Yeah?
A dame whose love life hadn't been so good and who resented other people finding romance under the moonlight in parked cars.
Well, what about the little card with I'm Death printed on it, the one the killer always leaves?
And those cards could have been left by either a man or a woman, Miss Williams. Our handwriting experts say they show no definite sex characteristics.
I know, Logan, but, well, as I say, my hunch wasn't very strong.
Captain.
It's a gunshot.
Hey, they must have found him.
Now, it came from in there. Yeah, I'm going...
Yeah, so am I. You stay here, Annie.
Oh, no, I will not.
Kid, look, for the shooting going on, no woman should...
I don't call one-shot shooting. I'm going with you.
What's happened?
Captain Logan, come here.
I'm coming, Dano, but...
There's our man, Captain. The same guy who pulled the gun on Mrs. Ryan and me.
Good job, Dano. You got him this time.
Yes, and for keeps.
Huh? Oh, I didn't shoot him, Captain.
You didn't?
No, I heard a shot and came here in the woods in this direction and found the guy lying here.
Well, who did shoot him if you didn't? Our other cops are too far away. They're just getting here now.
Well, I don't know.
Hey, Logan, there's a clean hole in this dead guy's head, and it wasn't made by a police 38.
Yeah, it looks more like a 32.
Captain, beside the body.
I see. Casey.
A printed card.
I'm Death.
The sign of the Lover's Lane murderer.
Then he just killed this guy.
And this guy wasn't the Lover's Lane murderer.
Our story will continue in just a moment. Extra, extra, read all about it.
Great new discovery makes beer and ale easy to enjoy.
It's a new kind of bottle.
A different kind of bottle.
It requires no deposit.
No fussing with pennies.
You don't have to return it.
No bother with empty.
Just pour out the beer
and throw the bottle away.
It's light as a feather.
No arm-weary lugging.
It's sturdy and compact.
Saves space in the icebox.
It's easy to open.
And safe to drink from.
It belongs on the table.
It's at home on a picnic.
And, brother, what flavor?
That true brewery flavor.
Protected by glass.
As only glass can protect it.
Yes, the revolutionary new Anchor Glass one-way no-deposit bottle is sweeping America. For flavor that's brewery bright, demand beer in bottles. For safety and convenience, demand your favorite brand in the new Anchor Glass one-way no-deposit bottle. Product of Anchor Hocking. The most famous name in glass.
Logan, why be sore at your cops? When they heard that shot, they naturally did the same thing as you and Ann and I did. They investigated.
And while all of them were making for this point where the shot came from, the killer who left that I'm Death card was making his getaway.
Oh, I don't think he's gotten away, Captain. He's still trapped in the woods. You'll get him.
Or her. I've still got that little hunch about a woman being the killer. Now that the guy who tried to stick up Dano and Mrs. Ryan has been put in the clear by getting shot through the head, well, maybe I'm right. Huh?
Is that I'm Death card like all the others you found, Captain?
Yeah, Miss Williams, they're all the same.
And I think ballistics will say that the .32 slug found in this guy's head came from the same gun that killed those 6 couples.
I'm betting the same way, Casey. And I have the same cockeyed theory you have about the reason for this latest killing. Now, Lover's Lane murderer, whether man or woman, must be a psychopathic case. And such people nurse terrific egos as well as terrific grudges.
And he'd have gotten a kick out of shooting this man practically under the noses of you cops.
Yeah, that's it, Miss Williams. And the shooting served a practical purpose, too. It drew most of the searchers to one point and enlarged the guy's chances for a getaway.
Captain Logan.
Yes, Sergeant?
We've just found out the killer may have gotten out of these woods.
What?
There's an old dry culvert passes under the road on the northeast, and it's grown all over with bushes, but looks as if our killer knew about it and used it.
That's just swell.
I've learned something else, Captain. Maybe good news.
That I'd like to hear.
There's a half-crazy old guy lives in a cave in the hills just north of here. One of them hermits. Hates people, and he knows every inch of these woods. They say he especially hates young people, Captain.
Huh?
Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good description of the Lover's Lane murderer, Captain.
You say he lives in a cave, Sergeant.
Yeah, the only name folks know the old guy by is Old Eve.
We'll pay Old Eve a visit right away.
Captain Logan. Captain Logan.
Who's calling?
It's me, Phil Dano.
Oh. Who's that with you?
A little guy, a gentleman I met out near the northeast road. He's given me some very interesting information I think you ought to know about.
I'm Clarence Butterworth, Captain. Professor Clarence Butterworth. I have a little summer place near here where I relax while the college is closed. I teach psychology at Sylvester Normal.
Glad to know you, Professor.
Captain, if I may, like many other people of the neighborhood, I was naturally attracted by the large number of police cars and officers searching these woods tonight. And when I learned the reason for their activities, I introduced myself to this detective.
Tell Captain what you told me, Professor.
Yes, of course, Officer Dano. Captain, as one familiar with this section, I think I can suggest a suspect for your investigation.
I've just been hearing about the hermit, Old Eve.
Yes. Old Eve, a pronounced misanthrope.
A what?
A hater of mankind. He would naturally fall under suspicion, but I don't think a creature of his limited mentality capable of successfully committing such a series of crimes. You see, Captain, I'm, if I may be permitted, I'm a student of crime.
Oh, you are?
Yes. As a professor of psychology, the subject of crime falls naturally into my orbit.
Okay, who's your suspect?
A woman.
A woman?
Yes, Mr.
Casey's the name. Tell us about this woman.
Of course, Mr. Casey. She's a person of considerable wealth, and in my opinion of strong psychopathic tendencies occasioned by an unhappy marriage. Her husband was, if this young lady will pardon me, something of a philanderer.
Oh, hubby played around with other dames.
Yes. According to neighborhood gossip, she surprised him in a parked car one evening with a young female person and attacked the two of them with a butcher knife. Fortunately, her husband was able to disarm her before he could do any great damage. He afterwards had her committed to a sanitarium for mental treatment, an institution from which she was released only 6 months ago, following his death.
6 months ago, Logan.
Yeah, this thing checks in a lot of ways, Casey. Now, who is this woman, Professor, and where does she live?
Her name is Mrs. Norma Julian, and she occupies a small estate about a half a mile northeast of these woods.
That culvert's on the northeast, Captain.
Sergeant, we're not overlooking any bets, so you take a detail and get that hermit, Old Eve, for questioning. And, Professor, I'll have you take me and Officer Dano to Mrs. Norma Julian.
Also Miss Williams and me, Logan.
Mm-hmm. Definitely us, Captain.
Okay. Come on, Professor, let's go.
Very well. Oh, this will be a most interesting indeed to an amateur criminologist like myself. Dear me, now I have an opportunity to see how real professionals work.
I'm Norma Julian. What do you policemen want?
I've just been talking to your servants, Mrs. Julian. They say that you've been away from home most of the evening, that you returned only a few minutes before we arrived.
I'm frequently away from home. What about it?
Well, I'd like to know where you've been.
It's none of your business. But I've been out walking.
Alone?
Alone. I prefer my own company.
Did you meet anyone during your walk?
I tried to avoid meeting anybody.
Where'd your walk take you tonight?
North of here, in the hills.
You weren't south of here in the woods?
No, I was not. Why?
There are burrs in your skirt, Mrs. Julian, and those woods are full of burrs.
There are plenty of burrs in the hills. What's the purpose of this questioning? And how dare you policemen bring that young woman into my house?
Oh, me?
Yes, you. You're the sort of woman that stole my husband, the kind that makes people say I'm crazy. You're the kind that just...
Stop her, Dino.
She's going to hit me with that vein.
She's under control, Annie.
I've got the handcuffs on her.
Oh, she's crazy, all right.
I'm satisfied she's the one we've been looking for. Take her to headquarters, man, and get the psychiatrist to give her a going over while I search this house for a .32 revolver.
Yes, sir. Come on, Mrs. Julian. You're going to tell it.
Dear me. What a violent woman.
Professor, I'm very grateful to you for your tip.
Well, I'm happy to have been of service, Captain. We amateur criminologists can serve a purpose, can't we?
You served a double one tonight, Professor.
Thank you.
You made a little hunch of mine pay off.
Hunch, Mr. Casey?
Yes, I had a feeling that the Lover's Lane murderer was a woman.
Captain Logan.
Huh?
Captain Logan.
What are you doing here, Sergeant?
I've got the Lover's Lane murder, sir.
What?
Let us, we know who he is. We got him surrounded.
What are you talking about?
Yes, what do you
Old
mean?
Eve, the hermit. I took a couple of men, went to arrest him like the captain instructed. When we got in front of his cave, he started shooting. It's already winged one of our men. I had to call in reinforcements before I came here to get your further instructions, sir. There's regular battle going on at that cave.
But why is the old fool putting up a fight? He's not the murderer.
But he is, sir. When he started shooting at us, he yelled the words on them cards and kept on yelling them. He says over and over, I'm deaf, I'm deaf.
Somebody's going to get me. I'm deaf. I'm deaf, Katie.
Listen, Captain. I hear it, Dano. Hey, that one came close.
Annie, keep down behind these rocks. That old guy shoots straight.
No, I'm keeping down, Casey.
Isn't shooting so often now, Captain. Maybe he's running short ammunition.
I got to get up there with a tear gas bomb and smoke him out.
Don't look like there's any shelter between here and that cave. You'll kill anybody who tried to climb that exposed hill.
We'll go around the hill. Get at him from the rear.
But the cave has only one entrance. The opening's in front, and he's watching that.
Heads down, everyone.
Captain, I'm sure the cave has two openings.
You are, Professor?
Reasonably so. During one of my rambles about the neighborhood last summer, I discovered an opening covered by trees that apparently led downward to the rear of Old Leaf's cave.
Could you find it again?
I believe I can.
Sergeant, you and your men keep that maniac's attention. Start shooting and draw his return fire to exhaust his ammunition. Dano, you come with the professor and me.
Yes, sir. I'm going to be a part of that expedition, Logan.
And me.
Oh, no, Miss Williams. If Casey wants to take chances, that's his business, but I'll have no women.
You stay here, Annie, where it's safe.
Oh, safe, huh?
Well, safer.
Now lead the way, Professor, and keep under shelter. Let's go.
Very well.
See you later, Annie.
Oh, I hope so.
Nobody gets hold of me. You varmints, I'm deaf. I'm deaf, Katie.
How's that hunch of yours now, Casey, about a woman being the Lover's Lane murderer?
That hunch, Logan, just ain't around anymore.
Here's the opening, gentlemen.
This is the cave, Logan. Say, Logan, how are you going to work this thing? Drop in a tear gas bomb?
No. Well, this hole's wide enough to squeeze through, so I'm going down.
That old guy will put a rifle bullet right through you.
Well, he hasn't returned a shot to our guys for a long time now, Casey. He may be out of shells. Anyway, he's being kept so busy watching his front door.
It's a big chance, pal.
Now, Dano will follow and cover me.
So will I.
You haven't a gun.
So what?
So you're nuts.
Gentlemen, I think you're extremely foolhardy to venture in there.
It's got to be done, Professor. Here goes.
Dear me. This is exciting.
Lie down, Dano. Come on and be quiet. There's a bend in the cave, and that nut can't see us from where he is.
I'm with you, sir.
Me too.
I also...
Professor.
I simply couldn't miss this, Captain. And I know you won't let me get hurt.
I'll keep quiet, then, and keep back. Come on, Dano.
All right. Captain.
Yeah?
Look, there's the old guy now. Crouching behind that barricade.
His rifle's on the floor. He's out of ammunition.
Hey, Logan, he's got something else in his hands.
It's not a gun.
It's a bottle.
There he goes. Stick up your hands, Eve. We got you.
No, keep back, or I'll throw this bottle. It's full of nitroglycerin.
Nitroglycerin?
Oh, it's all a conjuration. I'm deaf, I'm deaf.
Don't throw that.
He's throwing it.
Oh, it didn't explode.
It was just a bluff.
I got the thing, Logan.
Stick it in your pocket, Casey. Give it to me later.
Yeah, I'll do it.
No, you... I clipped this old maniac with my gun butt.
Sure did. He's out cold.
So is the professor.
The professor? What's the matter with him?
Yeah. Little guy fainted when he pitched that bottle. I almost did myself.
Yeah, well, me both, Dano.
Well, maybe you guys think I took it easy. Oh, boy, he might have had the real McCoy in that bottle. But anyway, we've finally got the Lover's Lane murderer. I hope.
Here's another bottle of beer, Casey. You look as if you needed it.
Yeah, I do, Ethelbert.
This has been quite a night, Ethelbert.
I should imagine, Miss Williams, from what you've told me. Is that crazy old hermit the real Lover's Lane murderer?
We don't know. He's such a fruitcake, the cops don't get any sense out of him, even now that he's come to.
We didn't go back to headquarters with him because I had to write my story, and Casey had a lot of pictures to get ready for the engravers.
Yeah, I'll have to go to headquarters later and give Logan this bottle of nitroglycerin. Excitement, we both forgot about it.
Is that the bottle of stuff the old guy threatened you with?
Yeah. Looks like greasy dishwater or cold soup, doesn't it?
You sure it ain't real nitroglycerin, huh?
Oh, if it was, pal, I wouldn't be here. When stuff like nitro gets thrown around, things blow up.
I've heard it don't stand for rough treatment.
That's right.
Logan will want that little bottle of dishwater for evidence, I suppose.
Oh, sure. Cops always want everything.
How about the woman, that Mrs. Julian, who was arrested first?
She's another nut. The police are holding her.
She may still turn out to be the killer, Annie.
Oh, Casey, you certainly hang on to a hunch.
I haven't a hunch about this thing anymore, or even an idea. You know, this has been a tough night.
Well, it's not over yet, Casey. We've another job to do.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
City Desk wants a lot of personal dope on little Professor Butterworth. We're playing him up as the big hero of this evening's frolic, so we're going out in the sticks again and see him.
He snapped out of his faint okay, huh?
Sure. He was still kind of white around the gills when we saw him last. Well, come on, Annie. Let's get over with and call it a day.
Okay. So long, Ethelbert.
So long. Hey, Casey.
Huh?
Take your bottle of nitroglycerin.
Oh, thanks for reminding me.
I wouldn't like it to explode sitting on my bar.
Sure you know how to find the professor's house, Casey?
Well, I have the address. Told me it's only a mile back of these woods.
This is a beautiful road in the moonlight.
Yeah.
No wonder so many couples have picked it as a lover's lane.
Don't see any neckers along here tonight.
Well, after what's happened, they've naturally been frightened away.
I wouldn't scare away that easy.
Wouldn't you?
No. I'd have had a real nice gal in the car with me.
Oh, is that so?
Yep. I'll prove it. Here's a good parking place.
Why, Mr. Casey.
Nice moon. Okay.
Uh-huh. Well, now what?
Well, suppose you tell me what you think of Philadelphia's chances against Pittsburgh for cellar position.
Suppose I tell you what I think of you as a romantic character.
Oh, no, you'd flatter me, Annie.
Mister, I'd blister you.
Annie, what do you mean? I only...
Oh.
Hey, wait, shh. Quiet.
What?
Someone in those woods.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Good evening, young people.
The professor.
Yeah, he's got a gun in his hand.
Are you enjoying the moonlight? The beautiful, romantic moonlight?
We were.
Casey. Miss Williams.
Yes, you didn't recognize us as soon as we did you, Professor.
No, I didn't.
That's an interesting gun you're pointing at us. It's a 32, isn't it?
Yes. A 32.
Then, you're
quite right, Miss Williams. I'm dead. Don't move, Mr. Casey.
Well, one up for you, Professor. Tell me, why are you a killer? And the kind of killer you are?
Oh, Mr. Casey, I know you're only trying to gain time, my boy, while you strive desperately to think of a way of escape. But I can spare a little time, and it'll be interesting to observe your desperation.
That's why you kill? To observe?
Exactly, Miss Williams.
Oh.
I'm a student of human emotions, and the only way to know them is to have them. A man cannot understand the mind of a murderer until he himself has killed. And he cannot know the feeling of power until he has killed often. Until he has become as death itself.
Oh, you're mad.
Oh, no. Old Leaf is mad. Mrs. Julian's mad because they hate. I hate nothing. I love nothing. I merely observe. I weigh. I'm a true scientist. See?
Yes, something I've just remembered.
And tell me, what is that, my boy?
That guys who don't hate anything or love anything can be very much afraid of things happening to themselves.
I don't understand.
Maybe this will remind you. It's the bottle of nitroglycerin I took from Old Leaf.
No, put that down.
I'll put it down at your feet if you fire that gun.
No.
Drop that gun.
I will.
He dropped the gun, Casey, and fainted.
He's out cold again. I've got his gun.
Well, now, why did he fall for your bluff? He knew that bottle didn't explode before.
How do I know what makes a madman tick, Annie? Phew, I didn't think he'd fall for that nitroglycerin gag. It was all I could think of, though.
Hey, Casey, here comes the police car.
Yeah, we'll flag it down. Get this guy under handcuffs.
Hey, something, Casey.
Casey, I thought we'd never find you.
Hi, Logan.
Hey, what are you doing here?
And for you, too?
Your city desk told us you'd gone to the professor's house, and we found nobody there.
Never mind about that, Sergeant. Say, here's the professor.
Never mind about that, Logan. Tell me...
Give me that bottle.
Bottle?
The one you took from old Eve.
Huh? Oh, sure. Here it is. Catch.
No! You take it, Sergeant, and wrap it up carefully.
Yeah, I'll say I will. Wrap it up carefully.
Yeah. Old Eve swears it's the real stuff, Casey. He told us how he made it.
The good Lord only knows why it didn't blow us all apart when he threw it. Must have just landed easy.
That stuff?
Is, real...
Nitroglycerin?
Yeah. I recognize the soupy look of it now.
Now?
Oh, Casey, I think I'm going to faint.
Annie, move over. I'll join you.
We'll join the crowd at the Blue Note in just a moment. How long has it been since you baked or even tasted a real homemade huckleberry or blueberry pie? Say, remember the symphony of color as your fork touches the tender golden brown crust and the rich deep purple juice spills out across your plate? My, oh, my. You know, good cooks, and my mother among them, tell me this is one of the hardest pies in the world to bake properly. But there's one way to be sure of results with any kind of pie. Use Fire King oven glass pie plates. Crusts are always golden brown and fluffy. Pies bake all the way through without danger of scorching. And, of course, that beautiful pale blue Fire King oven glass presents your pie at its best when you bring it to the table. Right now, you'll find at your 5 and 10 cent store or any other store selling household glass an unusual Fire King value. A big 9 1/2 inch Fire King pie plate for only 25 cents, or slightly more in distant cities. It's genuine Fire King oven glass, guaranteed for a full 2 years against oven breakage. And remember, its cost is only 25 cents. This Fire King oven glass pie plate is another product of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass.
So they got the professor in a nice solid cell, huh, Casey?
Yeah, he's out of circulation, Ethelbert.
Gee. And you got him with that phony bottle of explosive that was nothing but greasy soup.
Yeah.
We haven't told you about that bottle, pal.
The professor, having a good knowledge of chemistry, among other things, had recognized it from the first as real nitroglycerin.
Real What?
Yeah. There was enough in that bottle to blow up a city block.
And you had it sitting in front of me on this bar tonight.
That's just what we did.
Ethelbert!
Wait a minute, pal. Hold on. Hold on.
I'm trying to, Casey.
Casey!
Ethelbert! Hey, don't faint. Ethelbert. Anne, he's... Walter!
Crime Photographer, starring Stotts Cosworth as Casey, is brought to you each Thursday by the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation, makers of Fire King oven glass, Anchor glass containers, Anchor caps and closures, all products of Anchor Hocking, the most famous name in glass. Crime Photographer is directed by John Dietz. The original music is by Archie Blyer, and the program features Miss Jan Miner as Anne and John Gibson as Ethelbert. Herman Chittison is the Blue Note pianist. This is Tony Marvin saying goodnight for the Anchor Hocking Glass Corporation of Lancaster, Ohio, with offices in all principal cities of the United States and Canada. Thursday night on CBS is the biggest show in town, So stay tuned for exciting dramatizations on Reader's Digest Radio Edition, which follows immediately over most of these stations. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.